stoplight, and I can't wait to see the news piece. I was very spicy talking about this guy on the news, but bad guy is at the light, and it was like a 4-lane road, so you had quite a bit of a distance when you were making that turn, but some unknown citizen legally made that turn, and as he made that turn, the bad guy accelerated and just rammed the guy and T-bowed him almost head on. And of course, the guy got out, and he was, my neck, my back. Any of these big cities or large cities, a lot of people don't, even if you witness these accidents, they don't like sticking around. A lot of people don't like getting involved, but a lot of people are, you're busy, kids, cooking. And we see these accidents happen, and we keep driving. Luckily for the good guy, a couple people actually stopped because they saw exactly what happened. But it's my understanding the bad guy, the crook, the con artist, hit the deck. He fell down in pain, and he's yelling, "I need my lawyer." It was just a classic staged accident. So that occurred several weeks ago. Law enforcement conducted their investigation and just effected an arrest. I think it was yesterday, and locked his butt up for I think 3 or 4 different felonies. So I like to hear good stories like that, where good people are victims of other people's crimes. And so thank goodness whoever investigated that took the witness statements. They were some dashboard video that furthered the good guy's story, that corroborated that. So they took the witness statements, the dashboard video, put that all together and effected the arrest. And it's my understanding it's a organization of these scammers and crooks that hopefully they work a case and work some type of RICO case and lock all of these people up. Because I was talking on the news. I mean, that affects you and it affects me in our pocketbooks, because you know how the insurance companies are. They like hiking up the rates, whether you're at fault or not. And so at least a wrong was righted in this case. Thank goodness. And if I may say, let me relate that, because I love, Steve, give me 2 minutes. I love bringing parallels to cases, right? So we have this insurance scam that occurred in Florida. No one was unalived, and I don't think there were any major injuries other than the con artist pretending to be injured. But law enforcement took that dash cam video, some witness statements, did a pretty basic investigation. And I want to relay that to the John Curtis Lucas case out of Elkview, West Virginia. I think guys, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're at day 11 for the John Curtis Lucas case. No arrest, no charges. We had one press conference, in my opinion, was a dog and pony show from the prosecutor, but no arrest. And we all have seen that video, and we all agree, I don't think there's anyone in here that would disagree, that we all witnessed a crime it took place right before us. We saw it, but no arrest, no one held accountable yet. And here we go, day 11, no justice for John Lucas. And that just blows my mind. Blows my mind. Good evening.
What's up, buddy?
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I got a traffic crash, good fraud for you. So it actually involved a police car. We were actually doing some stuff, and one of our cars was involved. And so I was the first one there. I was right behind the accident. So got out of my car and went straight to the car that hit the police car. And there was a young lady driving, got her out, made sure she was okay, made sure there was nobody else in the car. She was transported to the hospital. We kind of cleared everything up, Florida Highway Patrol went to the hospital, and I get a call on my radio asking me if I'm near my phone. And I said, yeah, I got my phone with me. Well, the dispatcher put the trooper who was working the accident through to my phone. He said, was there anybody else in that car when you stopped at the accident? I said, no. Why? He says, because I got a second person here that's laying in a bed claiming that she was in that car. And she's telling me that she was in that car the whole time and that she was involved in the accident. I said, no, sir, I was the first one to the car. So he ended up arresting her for filing a false police report.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And I was just saying, Steve, and you can agree with this, I think, is that affects everybody. If you own a car and you have insurance, you're going to get that rate. And a lot of times, these insurance companies and these carriers will go out and they're collecting data from accidents and areas. And if you're living in one particular area, your insurance rates possibly could be greater than someone living out in the sticks or the boonies. So
Yep.
I love when bad guys go to jail.
Yeah, that's why they ask for your zip code, because they want to know if you live in one of those areas. Yeah, I've got, well, you know this. I've got family that's in the insurance investigation business now. So he investigated a lot of that stuff. It's always seems to be a group that will sit at a traffic light either in front of you or behind you. Typically, it's in front of you. And while you're sitting at a light, they put it in reverse and back into you. And then, oh, you hit me. And if there's not a dash cam,
it's your fault.
yeah, because you hit the back of them. So any cop that's there, I mean, he's going to say, well, you ran into the back. They can't run into the front of you. You obviously ran into the back of them. So yeah, unless there's a dash cam, you're in trouble.
What in the world, Kathy Lynn, was that? That was the dream team. That was the community dream team. Did you see that, Steve?
I didn't. I missed it.
That was amazing. Look. Oh, boom. Perfect. Look at that. Thank
Beautiful.
you, Kathy. But we always like to break it down, Steve, and compare cases when they're similar in nature. So, I don't know if you heard my opening. Day 11, Elkview, West Virginia, John Curtis Lucas. We all saw that video. We all witnessed a crime. Don't tell me it was an accident. Dadgum sure, don't call it an event. It was a crime taking place on video. But Steve, day 11, no charges, no arrest, no accountability. It's just amazing.
And no updates. No updates. It's beyond me. I don't understand.
I'm just our guest is having a little bit of connection issue. He's working it out, so he's going to be delayed about 5 minutes, but we'll get him on here.
Yeah, I'm confused as everybody on this channel is. It's beyond me why, at this point, we know what we know, and we know that the stories were not true. So put them in jail and then let them bond out if they need to. And then let's get this, let's get the wheels rolling.
Yeah, I mean, totally agree with that. I know that I had an opportunity to watch some Facebook stuff today and TikTok. And they came out in force today with some protest in downtown Charleston, which I was so glad to see that finally happening more. There's a schedule now. I posted it on my news feed. Steve, I got a restriction for posting that schedule. Who knows why? But that's still on the news feed. So if you're up in that area, if you live within 2 or 3 hours of Elkview, West Virginia, get your butts over there and get signed up and let's march for justice. And Steve, we've seen protests for the past 10 years. We've seen a lot of damage to our infrastructure, our buildings being demolished. And I'm going to tell you something. These people were protesting every day, and there is no violence. There is nothing happening. They're out spreading the word to get justice for John Curtis Lucas. Daniel.
Yeah. Hey.
Oh, there he is.
Are we on?
Yes.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me see if I can move you on. I'm going to introduce you.
Okay.
Let me see if I can move you to the top.
Okay.
Steve, can you disconnect for 1 second? I'll bring you back. I don't know how to move Daniel. Hey, Daniel, I've been here since February the 14th.
Okay.
I'm learning, but man, I'm telling you, this is It's a learning curve on TikTok. It's a great platform.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
Guys,
Happy to be here.
real quick, I've got to introduce this guy. I've watched, Daniel, I've watched your work for a long time. I said to myself about a week ago, I'm like, man, I'd love to chat and get in this guy's head and hear what he knows. And, you know, I finally messaged you. Righteous Monkey,
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you.
you are putting down some tracks, my friend. And Daniel, I am overwhelmed and grateful that you said yes and welcome up. We've got an amazing community. Let me tell you about the community real quick, Danny. They are hard chargers. They're super sleuths, and when they bite into a case, Danny, they don't give up. They're just like a pit bull. So welcome, man, and thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Just let me know if the AC is loud in the car. I don't know if you can hear it.
Perfectly fine.
Okay.
Can everyone hear Daniel?
Hi, everybody. So I rarely go on TikTok, but looks like, can my viewers actually see this as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, real quick before we get started, and look, this is the Daniel show and the Righteous Monkey show tonight for a few minutes. Give Daniel a follow. It's Righteous Monkey.
Yes.
Just hit that follow button right now. He's putting out some amazing content regarding Nancy Guthrie. So Daniel, give a little background. How did you get started? What made your interest peak on the Nancy Guthrie case? Just kind of take us through your journey, if you will, for a few minutes.
Sure. So, man, ever since I saw a video, I mean, I heard about the case, the Nancy Guthrie case, and ever since I saw the video with Savannah, Annie, and Nancy at El Toro, and I watched it, right? And then as soon as Nancy started talking, and I just felt so sorry, my heart dropped. So I looked further into the case. It was Tucson. Things like that are rare, like of that magnitude. It's very rare out here. So one day I randomly took my bike, my e-bike, up to the neighborhood, the foothills, and did a little bike vlog. And as soon as I got there, I was just amazed when I saw Nancy's house, thinking, having like the suspect's photos in the back of my mind. I was like, I can't believe this happened here. And I just became glued in it. And then eventually I just started hitting the streets and searching. My TikTok viewers might be kind of amazed because I rarely go on TikTok for the Nancy Guthrie stuff. I've been on Facebook and YouTube primarily. But so I just decided to hit the streets. I know the lay of the land out here. I know the streets. I have a criminal background as well. So I was trying to look at things from like a suspect's perspective. And I prefer like the boots on the ground searches and just hitting the streets. It's a rush. I used to have a wild past, so I still need that adrenaline rush. And I'm just in it for the cause, man, just to definitely bring Nancy home.
You know, Daniel, before we get into the nitty gritty, I've got to ask you, I mean, we've all sat here and watched, we're all vested in the case of America's grandma, right? It's Nancy Guthrie, but it's our grandma, right? We all can relate, but we watch all the streamers. Big JD, John, I've done his show a couple times. He's been on here. You know, we're glued to you guys that are out there streaming from this crime scene. What's it like to be there firsthand? I mean, is it? Do you get a sense of overwhelmness in terms of this is where this woman was? You know, she was abducted from there. Just kind of give us a lay of the land. What's it like to be a streamer, a cyber sleuth out there trying to find clues for Nancy Guthrie?
Sure. The neighborhood is quiet. It is spacious. There's a lot of like brush out there, trees. Everything is spread out. I think each house is maybe on a couple acres, maybe more or less. I'm not 100% sure, but everything's spread out. When I'm on her street and I look at her door, you could barely see it because there's just so much brush there, right? It's quiet, but lately, like nowadays, the neighborhood really doesn't want us there. They don't want people hanging around there. So the vibe has definitely changed. When the media was here, it was just a madhouse, just packed and everything, right? But nowadays the vibe out there is pretty intense. The neighbors are really nice or really mean. I've gotten called bad things just for being out there and having my camera up there. I guess the most PG one I could say is a parasite. You know, there were a couple bikers riding by, and this guy made sure I heard him say he called me a parasite. But the vibe has definitely changed, though. Definitely changed. I'm not sure what the rest of your question was. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, are the neighbors cooperative? I mean, are they spazzing out that you guys are still there, walking around, looking, videoing, streaming? What's the concept? I mean, how are you treated by the community? Are they welcoming you?
I mean, to a certain extent, they really don't have a choice as long as we're on the public road and all that. I know they enforced parking there, so we can't park there anymore. So I park in a certain location the times I do go, but I park at a certain location and then take my bike there. So it's a little mission to get there. I try to follow all the rules, be mindful of everybody, say hello, introduce myself if they're willing to talk. I've had a lady come up and just start screaming at me. I just stayed quiet, didn't say anything, because if I do, it'll probably be sarcastic. So I just stayed quiet, let her vent, and then just keep on walking. But for the most part, everyone's been nice. Everyone's been nice. They just want to vent, and I love listening. So it's been a good experience.
Can you share anything, Daniel, that we may not be getting that you want to put out that you've either uncovered, something you've heard, any clues that you're getting, something that we may not hear from mainstream media or other streamers that you can share with us?
Regarding the case, or
yes,
nothing really pertaining to the case. Everything I've heard is, I guess, public info. I've heard more from podcasts with ex-law enforcement. I love listening to it. Just minor key details like that. They called off the searches, I guess, within the first 48 hours. I'm really curious about that. Like, what about the crime scene from an investigative standpoint made them decide to call off the searches? You know, they had professional search teams, FBI or something like that. So I'm really curious as to why they would call off the searches, just yank them right off the case. And that's pretty much it, man. But as far as like exclusive information, I really don't have anything.
Let me ask you this. I've been dying to ask someone. I was going to ask John, and it just slipped my mind. But what are you hearing from the neighbors? I mean, and let me set it up for you. It's a little bit to unpack, so stay with me. Let's go back to the press conferences. Steve and we've been cops our whole career. And I can tell you, Daniel, I've never seen a case like this to where law enforcement doesn't come out in a presser and says, hey, this is an isolated incident. The community is safe. You can move freely about the cabin, yada, yada, yada. You know where I'm going when I'm putting that down, right? But now we heard a few weeks back now, the sheriff actually came out and said, no, wait a minute, we don't have any suspects. Be visual, leave your lights on, call 911 if you see anything suspicious. The community, I would only think, would be in an uproar as to how this sheriff has handled this investigation. They've went 84 days now. Basically, the sheriff says you're not safe. His words, not mine. What are you getting from the community? Are they talking about that? Are they concerned?
For me, in regards to that neighborhood, it's probably been about 3 or 4 weeks since I've been up there, just due to the energy. I really didn't like the energy up there. They probably don't want us there. But as far as the few people I have spoken to in the neighborhood, some are happy the streamers are there, and some aren't. And the ones that aren't really aren't. So I'm pretty sure they may be, I don't have any info on this, but I'm pretty sure they may be in contact with law enforcement, talking about the parking, just doing whatever they can, HOA stuff behind the scenes to basically get us out there. But I'm pretty good at reading people. I'm pretty big on energy. And I just don't want to disrespect anybody out there as far as like the neighbors and stuff. So I made it a choice not to go back and just continue my searches, because I'd rather be boots on the ground, try to find something pertaining to the case, whether it's anything related to the case or Nancy. And that's primarily where my focus is right now. But
And I want to get into that, Daniel. If you're just joining the broadcast, speaking to Righteous Monkey, I love that name. I want to come up. See, we need a nifty name like that, right? Righteous Monkey. And Daniel's just one of the best guys. I'm telling you, he's where he's supposed to be, guys. But if you're listening, Daniel is out there looking for Nancy Guthrie. He's out searching. He's out looking in the woods. He's looking in the desert, wherever. And we're going to let him take us through that on what he's done and where he's been searching. But one of the best guys that's out there streaming. Follow him if you haven't followed him. It's Righteous Monkey. But Daniel, what are you doing in terms of searching? What does that look like? You just go out there and just start looking in different areas. Take us through that.
yeah, I'm pretty. I know Tucson pretty well. So I pretty much, I really don't need much of a Google map unless I'm looking into if it's public property, private property. I'm really big on that. I do my best to stay on public property, try not to trespass as best as I can. But so I really try and tap into the mind of a suspect. Long story short, I was involved in a burglary back in the day. So I kind of have that kind of aspect and outlook from like a suspect's perspective. But in regards to searching, I just try to think, where would I go if I'm trying to hide something or someone, and just go and some days it'll be random. I'll just hit the streets and see where I end up. I'm like, hey, that spot looks kind of wild. Let me see what's going on there. And then I'll just start streaming from there and just doing what I can, still focus on where I'm at and trying to watch my six as best as possible, because who knows, right? Somebody could be watching and they don't like what I'm doing, and whether it's law enforcement or anybody else. And then interacting with the chat as well. But it sometimes a certain location will just call me and I'll just try and hit it and see what happens from there.
Steve, check this out. Are you listening to this? This guy, he's not supported by any foundation. He doesn't have a quote unquote official search group. And he's out burning hours, sweating. It's got to be hot. In danger. There's snakes, there are coyotes. Steve, I mean, this is what the people need to hear. There's good people like Daniel out doing the work. And I'm gonna be a little spicy. That law enforcement should be doing, they're not. So Daniel's standing in the gap. What do you think about that, Steve?
Yeah, we've had lots of conversations on here about why are there no searches being done, and we've talked a little bit about where do you start, where do you look, is there some evidence somewhere where we can start looking from there, because it's very difficult in law enforcement to but at the same time, I would venture to guess that law enforcement has had tips on where to start looking, and they haven't, or at least we haven't seen that large group search area. So I know when I've worked those cases, if we had a tip of someplace, I can guarantee you my chain of command was like, hey buddy, guess where you're going to be at tomorrow morning? And we were, and we exhausted every lead in every area we could. So yeah, it's sad to see that. I won't say it's sad to see, because I'm glad there's people like Daniel that's doing this, but it's sad that it's taken law enforcement this long to even not do anything. You know what I'm saying? It's sad that we have to depend on each other rather than the agency that should be doing this.
Yeah, and Dan, we had to hear from you, and I'll tell you why. I mean, we've been covering some other cases. We have a horrible case out of West Virginia. Guy was basically murdered by an ambulance, and we've been covering that case for the last 4 or 5 days. But people they want to know what's going on in Pima County. Where's Nancy? And I hit my heart last night. I've got to reach out to you, and and listen to someone that's out there on the ground like yourself. And if no one's thank you, we thank you. The community thanks you before we go any further. Guys, light the chat up, please, with yellow hearts for Daniel. I'm telling you, the guy's out there jeopardizing his own safety. So let's show Daniel some love and some appreciation as we move forward.
Thank you.
How's law enforcement treating you? Are you having any run-ins? Are you having issues? Are they saying, "Hey, you're not allowed"? What are you getting there, Daniel?
Since I've been doing YouTube, and even with my past, I've had nothing but great interactions with law enforcement. Communication goes a long way. I recently got an email from a detective from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. What was it? It was the Community Problems Unit. And I've never heard about this unit, and kind of blew my mind. My heart stopped. So it's the first case I've ever been involved in where I received an email from anybody regarding the case, a detective. So apparently I was doing some searching kind of behind a house on a hill in Nancy's neighborhood. It was a wash, and it was a bit of an incline there. So like in the middle of the wash, like it was a long wash, by the way. So I'd say when I was somewhere in the middle, I kind of wanted to get out to go back to Nancy's neighborhood. So I went up the incline there. There was a house there with a camera. They saw me. But I wanted to go that route because Nancy's house and everybody else was right there. So, but I didn't want to walk on the person's yard, the actual yard. So apparently the homeowner there contacted the sheriff's department, and like maybe about a month, I received an email, which is a couple days ago, and email stated he wanted my input. He wanted, I forgot his verbiage, he wanted my thoughts on the case. And as soon as I saw case, I was like, oh man, here we go. What I do now, So even that interaction was pleasant, with that gentleman there. It sounded like after everything was done, it sounded like he just wanted to inform me that the area is trespassing where I was at. And he said he just didn't want to see me, get in legal trouble down the road. So I'm still thinking about it every day. I'm still kind of paranoid. Like, I don't know if something's developing. I don't know if me giving him a call, if I walked myself into a case from there. But I figure I'll reach out since it was email, just speak my piece, clear my name as much as possible, let them know the exact scenario, 100% truth. I wanted to go, but I didn't want to cross in the yard, so I just turned around and exit the wash where I came in. But I haven't heard back from them, so I should have asked, like, do you have any further questions? Is this case complete? Am I going to receive anything in the mail? Am I going to get a knock at the door? So I'm thinking about things like that. But that interaction was pleasant. Out of my entire life, I've only had one bad interaction with a police officer. It wasn't even bad. He was just fishing big time. It was like a traffic citation type thing. But aside from that, everyone's been great. I'm pretty good at communicating, reading people. I know when to shut up. If the vibe is going pretty good, I'll ask a few questions. But aside from that, everybody's been great, thankfully.
Yeah, you can get stopped for running that stop sign, and the next thing you know, they've got all your luggage unloaded in your car, and you've got the drug dog coming. And I got it. Cops are cops, and that's what they do. You're going to have some bad apples in any profession, And but I'm pleased to hear that was a positive interaction with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, because I'm telling you, on this end, we're not hearing such good things about that department out there, Daniel. We're hearing bad leadership. We're hearing votes of no confidence for the sheriff. And do you know anything about the sheriff? Have you had any interactions with anyone that knows the sheriff? Or what's the scuttlebutt on Nanos? Is he who he? We don't. My spidey senses are up, Daniel. It doesn't look good for the leadership role he's taken.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I was watching a certain podcast last night, and I found out a bunch of information, about his history in different state. I've never met him. I really try not to have conversations with law enforcement about anything, but I've never met anybody that knew him or anything like that. But I've heard a lot. It's interesting, and even on my platform, I don't bad talk any law enforcement. When I got in trouble in the past, that was my fault. They're just there to enforce the law that I get. I've done a lot of interviews with the homeless and all that. During some interviews, they would down talk police and all that. I would just let them speak or maybe ask a different question because I really didn't want my platform to down talk anybody, especially law enforcement, especially with my record. I want every interaction from here on out to be civil with them. But it would be pretty interesting to sit and interview nanos and just anybody from Pima County just to get their insight on what I'm doing or anything, get as much info about the case as possible. And just basically, I'm really curious what they think about what I do, So just from their perspective, I really don't want to be an eyesore on them. I don't want to step on their boots or anything like that. But just trying to do my part as a citizen and somebody that just wants to bring any missing person home. If it's not Nancy, hopefully it's someone else. We have a lot of land out here, and just doing my part. Just trying to give back.
Yeah. I mean, are you searching on foot, or are you using your e-bike, or what's that look like? I mean, that's a lot of area.
Primarily on foot. Since I've been streaming on foot, I've done a few searches on my bike where I don't stream, and I just pre-record. But primarily on foot, it's relaxing, and I feel I'm able to spot certain things better. If I'm on the bike, I might miss a certain wash or a piece of clothing or something like that. The only thing I know about Nancy is she was allegedly taken from a house in some pajamas. So in my mind, anything could be pajamas, sweatpants, a tracksuit, a long t-shirt, that could be pajamas, or just standard top and bottom pajamas. So I'm keeping my eye out for any nightwear, anything like that. That's the only, I guess, somewhat piece of evidence that I have about Nancy. Like, what was she wearing last? Savannah said she was taken from a house at night in pajamas, no shoes. So I'm just really keeping an eye out for any somewhat new, fresh nightwear. So, yeah.
Do you have any theories that you can share in terms of what you think happened to Nancy and where she's, is she local? Have they disposed of her body with, we keep hearing that 12-mile or 20-mile radius. We're hearing Mexico. We're hearing all kinds of stuff. If you want to, what's your views on all of that?
Yeah, early on, I was thinking she's maybe within a 5-10 mile radius. The foothills is in North Tucson, and as you head further south, there's more cameras like in the city. So early on, I was thinking if she was taken, I don't think she would go anywhere within the city. There's so many streetlights, cameras, chances to get pulled over. So I was really primarily focusing on the foothills in that area. But now as time keeps going, I'm just like, anything's a possibility at this time. The Mexico theory, that could be a possibility. So one of my past few searches, if the Mexico theory is true, we have Interstate 19, which will take you south to the Mexican border. So I went to the south side, and there was a case that happened there like a few years ago, 2018. So if some foul stuff was happening in that case, I was like, let me go and check it out. It was pretty intense. But I went there by myself, and it just, that day was calling me. So I went out there. If the Mexico theory is true, the suspect could pull over, place Nancy there or anywhere within that vicinity. So at this point, man, she could be anywhere, really, she could be anywhere. The suspect, one thing that really caught my attention, as soon as I saw the suspect's photos, his eyes looked a little enlarged, So I was thinking about that. on Nancy's Google Nest Cam, there's kind of like a fisheye lens, like a fisheye type view type thing. So I'm wondering if his eyes look enlarged or kind of funky due to that fisheye lens. So, but the eyes, man, really, really unique features on that guy. Really unique features. I didn't even see him blink. I don't know if it's because it was so dark and he was really trying to focus on where he was looking, but I didn't see him blink at all. Sorry about that little tangent.
Steve, I mean, the guy's out there. And, you know, he's talking about the video that we all seen. And we've even talked about this guy. You know, Daniel, we call him the creepy porch video guy, right?
Yeah.
But Steve, I mean, he's got some valid points in terms of the bad guy's eyes. It was like he was staring in oblivious. The guy never blinked. What's your take on that, Steve?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I don't want to point fingers because I don't want to get in trouble on any platform, but I have my theories about who it might be. I've seen those eyes on some people that have been interviewed. And so, yeah, I mean, it's crazy that, I don't know. We've talked about it almost every day. I mean, I just don't understand how we haven't closed in on somebody yet. I agree they're smart because they've lasted 84 days, but there's just got to be something that we're not getting. And that's all I can think, and that's all I can hope for, is that somewhere in the sheriff's office, they have info that they're just not putting out because they don't want to taint anything and they don't want to give this guy the heads up. But, and I was going to say this earlier when Daniel was talking, I think the email and the subsequent phone call that he had was probably a fishing expedition as well. I think that detective was wanting to pretty much talk to Daniel and kind of rule things out there, because you know as well as I do that sometimes criminals, they like to come back to the scene of the crime, and I'm sure the neighbor keys in on it and says, hey, see something, say something. So it was probably a fishing expedition and they ruled everything out. You know, everything was good to go, but it's nice to see that that's happening. But at the same time, I think it's funny because I've been gone for 2 years now. So I'm almost with everybody else that I feel like we deserve something. I feel like we deserve some information, and having been on the other side of it where there's no way in hell I'm going to give you the information, I can see it from both sides. I really can. So it's important work that you're doing, Daniel. You know, I applaud you for what you're doing. I'm certain that were we to live closer, we'd be right there beside you. So thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you. What are your thoughts on the that email process?
Again, I think he was just reaching out to kind of figure you out. Wanted to, you know, I don't know what kind of questions he asked you, but I'm sure they were kind of prodding questions, and it's something that I would do. If I had that information from somebody, I would definitely want to make sure that I could rule you out, because, you know, as much as I want to rule somebody in, I want to rule everybody out that I can. And so I feel like he probably was just, he did his due diligence. He was following up what he should do. And once he had that conversation with you, I mean, unless you get a knock on the door in the next 2 days, I think he just was looking to make sure that you weren't a ne'er-do-well and you were actually out there doing something beneficial for them.
Gotcha.
I would agree with that. Daniel, you're the blunt of this, but I'm kind of glad if that's the case. I'm actually glad they reached out. They should reach out to everybody, you know?
Me too. What do you think would have happened if I didn't call? I guess depending on the severity of the situation, they probably would have knocked on my door, right?
Maybe a knock on the door.
So. Yeah.
I'm glad I called. You know, I knew I wasn't up to anything fishy, anything funny, anything crazy like that. So I was thinking, should I wait till I get a lawyer? But it seemed so not really minuscule. It was an email. I was like, this this is probably serious, but not too serious. Maybe a simple conversation could resolve this, hopefully. So I was like, screw it, man. Let me just see what happens, man. Speak my piece, clear my name as best as I can. Let him ask any questions, and go from there. But
Yeah, and
I
an
think you
email
did
and
the
a
right
phone
thing.
call is always better than a knock on the door, because now your neighbors see somebody there, and now their minds start rolling, and then the rumor mill starts going. So, yeah, I think you did the right thing. I think it was, the best way to handle that for you. And no, I think you did the right thing, and I think, unless there's something stupid going on, you probably have nothing to worry about.
yep, awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Daniel, I don't know if you could see the chat, but Deb had made a comment in the chat. The RV you found was wild and crazy. I don't know what that was about, but she was in there talking about an RV or something you found. She said that was crazy.
Yep, I'm actually at the lake right now where the RV is. It's probably about a quarter of a mile away from me.
And then someone else was asking, do we know if they searched that lake?
I don't know if they searched any lake 100%. Like, I really don't know. I'm thinking if they do any searching, they may need some sort of evidence, right? Or a strong tip. That's my frame of mind. Like if law enforcement's actually doing a search in a lake or something like that, do you think if they don't get many tips at all, do you think they will hit the lakes if nothing else, if they're running out of leads? Or
I
do they
can't
need
believe,
something?
and Steve, I mean, Steve will chime in because he was in the missing persons unit. But I'm going to tell you, my short 30 years and been around this business, I can't believe that they haven't had a dive team searching all of those lakes surrounding. And here's the deal, guys. You go out and you conduct these searches in lakes. We see them all the time. You can use that search as training in conjunction for looking for a person. So, Steve, I'm surprised they haven't searched any lakes. And I'm going to put it out here. If I'm wrong, this group will correct me, prove me wrong. They haven't searched any of the lakes, just like Daniel said, Steve, and I find that just very troublesome.
Yeah, and I don't know that we would unless we had a tip. Now, I agree with you as far as training goes. Those guys are training every week. So, to get them to do that as a training exercise, even the fire department for their rescue training,
Right.
Even using their resources like the group that we know that was there, the Cajun Navy, you know, hey, you guys feel free to do this, or even those underwater search and rescue guys you see all the time finding vehicles in lakes. If they're there and they're available, everything that I've seen from them has been above board. If they do find something, they know better than to touch it. They call law enforcement right away.
Yeah.
So you're not going to lose evidence. You're not. I don't believe that. So yeah, why they're not using resources that they have available is beyond me. It's just because it's so easy to dispose that way, and so yeah, that would be like I said. Unless I had a specific tip to search somewhere, I'm not immediately just calling the dive team out. But again, training, fire training, Cajun Navy, search and rescue guys. I'm sure they've had volunteers out the wazoo, and I don't believe they've used them.
Well, they haven't.
What-
And I
You
can't
know,
believe why
the thing
not.
about the lakes in any waterway, I mean, we love comparing cases, Daniel, on this broadcast. Let's compare this case in the lake with the Hooker case over the Bahamas, the missing wife, right? If Nancy had been disposed of in a lake, or Lynette Hooker had been disposed of like the Hooker husband said, she fell overboard, you're going to have what we call a floater, unless you're tied down and bagged up in a container underneath that water, right? So, I mean, maybe to the sheriff's credit, I can see maybe not searching the lake, but Daniel, if it's that close, why not get it out of the way and at least give the public the confidence that you're out doing something rather than nothing that we've seen?
Yeah. That's a beautiful point. Tucson is not the biggest city.
No.
All the lakes are. I mean, you could get from one side of town to the other in like 30 minutes, 35 minutes. We only have about 5 lakes here. That would be amazing, beautiful. I mean, that would be amazing. Why do you think they didn't accept the Cajun Navy's offer? Like,
You know,
what?
we had the Cajun Navy on this show, Daniel.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The vice president came on here, and Steve, you remember that. He he was just as mythified. There's no words to explain why. And what he, I took some heat for getting the Cajun Navy on. Some people like him, some people don't. Leave that outside. If somebody's willing to come in with an army of people, I don't care if you like him or not, they need to come and find somebody, right? But he is just, it's a mystery to that organization. Steve, you remember Tim Miller from Texas EquiSearch, our good
Right.
friend. He was on the show. Daniel, someone, and Tim wouldn't tell us who, but he said someone within that circle of the family reached out to Tim Miller. It's presumably it could be Savannah, because Savannah was at Court TV. Tim had been friends for years, but no response in terms from law enforcement. And here we sit with Texas EquiSearch, the Cajun Navy, and to compound, and I'm complaining a little bit, guys. You have trained SAR, search and rescue teams, in every nation in the every state in the United States. Those people train with FEMA. They're organized. They have canines. Steve and Daniel, none of those people have been utilized to date.
Wow.
Yeah,
So it's a
and
mystery.
you need look no further than the fact that the FBI has really packed up and kind of moved into Phoenix and other areas. They've just kind of left the area because of this sheriff. I mean, if he's not willing to allow the FBI to help out, the ego is much too great. Especially, I've been around plenty of places where we've used other agencies to help us because we don't have the resources. We can't, you can't take for our sake here in where I'm at, you can't take 45 deputies off the road to do what you need to do, but you can get a group of people from across the state and rotate people out and do the work that needs to be done without depleting your own resources that are working patrol. You don't have to do that, and it hasn't been done. It's insane and beyond my. I just can't fathom why this guy is the way he is.
You think? I mean, I really don't know much like how the background, the mechanics of law enforcement works, but the only thing I could think of is it insurance liability to have them out here? Like, do you think that could be a reason, or just straight?
Here's the deal.
Ego.
Let me speak on that. First-hand experience on that one. During the Kaylee Anthony case in Orlando, Tim Miller called me. He's like, "Hey, I need you to help organize this search." We set up a phone booth or a phone bank. It was manned by people answering calls, getting volunteers. Here's how that works, Daniel and Steve. These search groups, the professional search groups like that, they're going to get insurance on whatever properties they set up that command center, because guess what? The world is sue happy. So to answer your question, there's no liability to law enforcement whatsoever on these private companies or these volunteers that come out and search. They will get the insurance policy for anything that happens on that property. So no, to answer your question, look, plug your ears, Daniel. I know you don't want to jam up any popo. It comes down to Sheriff Chris Nanos, his inadequate leadership, his lack of transparency. Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. His very inexperienced homicide squad. We had Rick, Daniel. He's a homicide guru. We know him well. We worked with him. He did the research. The supervisor at that homicide squad, 2 years. The investigators, 2 years. And I'm sorry, let me correct myself. The supervisor was transferred into homicide with zero experience. With 2-year homicide detectives, it's a leadership problem.
And that's a huge, high-profile case. Celebrity's mother. That's just. I could only imagine the emotions that Savannah is feeling. The family, the frustration. I don't know what I would be doing in that situation. All I know is it would be hard to stay home. It would be hard to go back to work on TV if I was in Savannah's situation. For me, I know myself. I'd probably end up back in jail. If they told me no, I would kind of find a way, or you know what I mean? Like, my body would make me keep searching for answers. Maybe I mean, they have to know more than us. Maybe the searching is 100% pointless. Maybe they know where she is. Maybe they're building a case on someone. So the unknowns really, going down that rabbit hole is frustrating. 100%.
And that's Steve. He hit the nail on the head. With maybe these searches would not. Maybe they're not utilized because they know where she's at. Let's flesh that out, Steve Strickland. Let's not utilize searches. Listen to what I'm putting down. Let's not utilize any searches because we have a possibility of a location where she may be. Steve, it's been 84 days. If they thought they knew where this woman was, as many streamers and as much media, if they were out looking in some top secret place, you would know that. But let me go to Daniel's point. What if, and we don't know, what if she's alive and well and being taken care of by someone? We don't talk a lot about that. Is that remotely possible? We pray that's the case. But Steve, Daniel brings up a good point. Maybe that's why they're not getting these search groups in here.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that is there's too many ears and too many eyes and too many mouths. And I think that kind of stuff would have been leaked by now. Could it be possible? I don't know. If I knew either one way or the other where she was, whether deceased or still being held somewhere, you're talking about a SEAL Team 6 kind of rescue at this point. I mean, there wouldn't be much to it. I think that they would move ahead with that. Were she deceased and they knew and they were holding, I don't think it would last. I don't think we could keep that secret enough. At this point, I think what we may find, especially with how bad this case has been handled, that to me, I'm almost willing to say a recovery is much better than a conviction at this point. Because I don't know that we're gonna, unless there's stuff that's being held back from us that we don't know. As much as they fumbled this thing, I would rather give the family closure if I knew than be worried about the case at this point. I mean, I would give the family closure. So I don't know that anything is possible, obviously, but I just kind of feel like too many people would know about it, and somebody out there wants to be the one who gives it to TMZ, gives it to the media, the national media, and gets the credit for this. And because there's probably a lot more egos around than just Nanos. And so it's not my feeling or my opinion that they know where she's at, because I just think we would have resolved this a little bit different by this point.
Daniel, we don't know each other well. I think you know my heart, or you would have said no, thank you, right? So you trust me, or you wouldn't be here, bro. Yeah. Let me tell you. Let me ask you this: does it? And I may get some criticism in the chat, but I don't think so. I know the community. I am critical, Daniel, of Savannah. As much as we hurt for Savannah, I am critical of Savannah, and let me unpack why. If you didn't know who Savannah was before this, we know who she is now. And Daniel, she has one of the biggest platforms at NBC. She's on the TV every day. To date, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think we've officially heard from her 4 times. Daniel, where is Savannah? Why is she not on every station known to man? Why is she not out yelling at the sky? I just felt, and this is going to kind of parallel what both you and Steve were talking about. Could the reason we're not seeing this, does the family know where she's at, possibly? I don't know. I'm reaching, guys. I'm reaching for answers. Where's Savannah's voice and appealing to people, please God, somebody come forth and tell us where our mother is. Daniel, I'll let you respond to that. I'm critical of her in that sense,
I hear
and
you.
it's suspicious.
Do you think they're forcing her? FBI, somebody is forcing her to not be much of a voice at the moment. Like, do they have that type of power? Like, if you go out, if you search, if you hit the street, or if you keep talking about it, you may jeopardize the case. Like, try and get it in her head that way.
Okay, Steve, back me up or oppose me on this. But Daniel. I like Steve because Steve's calm, and he kind of centers me when I get off on that spicy route. But let me respond to that. No, I don't agree with that, and I'm going to tell you why. If my mother is missing, I don't care what the problem is. I don't care who tells me to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to go appeal to the people. I'm going to be on TV and she could be on TV every day. She could be on any platform. She would get millions upon millions upon millions of people watching. I just don't see anyone that has a loved one 84 years of age being pulled around like a circus pony. You can't say this, you can't say that. Here's why, Daniel. She's a smart lady. She was amazing when she was on court TV. And Steve, she knows how these criminal cases work. And I don't think you could pull the wool over her eyes. Am I in the ballpark?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there's nothing that the FBI, that the local police can say that can stop her from talking. I've worked plenty of cases where, sure, did I want people that were involved as far as relatives and stuff to keep their mouth shut because I didn't want them to ruin my case? Absolutely, but it's their loved one. I mean, think about this though. I mean, Savannah, and I've been noticing this in the chat. Savannah's got another brother, or she's got a brother and another sister who have. I don't think the brother has said squat. And so yeah, if your sister is in the limelight.
Wait a minute, Steve Strickland. I'm going to interrupt you for just a minute. Cameron did say squat, and let me tell you what Cameron did say. And he said this to Savannah and good old Annie. Let me tell you what he said. This is a kidnapping. Within hours.
Kidnapping for ransom. Yeah.
Hello, McFly.
Yeah. No, you're exactly right. All I'm saying is, I'm saying since in these recent days, even if somebody's saying, Savannah, you're in the limelight, maybe you're not the best spokesman for us at this point. Why is Cameron not taking the lead? He's the oldest child. Why is he not taking the lead on this and being in the media every day? Why is Annie not doing the same thing? It's just, all three should be screaming from the hilltops.
I got to respond to you. Within hours, he called it a kidnapping, Steve. How did he assemble that within hours, moments after they find that she's not home? It's a kidnapping.
Yeah. No.
To me, look, let me tell you something. I'm not saying he's involved, but I'm telling you right now, if I was an investigator on this case and I had a family member say that, my spidey sensors are going to go, whoop.
Yep.
It doesn't track well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It is, to come right out and say that. And my theory on it. I mean, it's family and friends and people that they knew. And so it's very odd, very strange. Those are the kind of things that a good investigator keys on in the first hour. And when that happens, I mean, you're going, wait a minute. What we haven't even looked into this theory yet, and you've already decided that that's what it is. You're definitely top on my, top 5 on my radar.
Yeah.
You guys,
and again, not saying he's involved.
If you're just joining me real quick, Daniel's here with us as a guest. Righteous Monkey. He's on all the platforms. Please, before we go any further, if you haven't followed Righteous Monkey, do it now. Daniel's out there. He's not a part of any group. He's not getting paid. And the guy's out there looking for clues in the Nancy Guthrie case. Heck, he's looking for Nancy Guthrie herself. So be sure to follow Daniel at Righteous Monkey. Daniel, I started saluting people this week, so I've got to salute you as we're in progress here.
Thank you, Jim.
We're just grateful for what you're doing out there.
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate the opportunity, and it's amazing to speak with ex-law enforcement. It's amazing. It's a first for me, so it's really awesome, and it's been amazing seeing ex-law enforcement SWAT commanders hop on podcasts, speak their mind, get that outlook. It's just amazing hearing their thoughts on everything. It's been amazing. It's really been amazing. So thank you for your time. 100%. I have a random question. I'm sorry. When you see the suspect's photos, they're saying the second image that came out is from January 11th. Do you think that's from prior to the actual night? Do you think it's 2 separate days? To me, it looked like he was wearing the same thing. I mean, it could be a separate night or it could be the same day. I'm not too sure. And that second photo that came out, he didn't have a backpack. So I don't know. I just wish we had some audio, maybe some more video, but it's interesting. I don't know. Do you think it's
I'll let
2
you
separate
tackle
days?
that one.
Yeah, I don't know that we've seen anything yet with timestamp or date stamps that has proven that they're 2 separate incidents. I may be wrong in that, and if somebody in the chat knows different, let me know. But I don't remember seeing anything that gives us a time and date on either one of them to be specific or to make sure that they're 2 different episodes. And so no, I don't necessarily think it's 2 different days. That's just, again, my opinion. And I don't know who DB is in the chat, but they were saying something about, so you're here just to bash the family. We're not bashing family at all. We're fleshing out ideas and theories. And what we want to understand is, why aren't they as loud about this as we have been? I mean, I would venture to say that we've talked more about this case than the family has talked about this case. And so we're not bashing the family.
You spoke about it 4 times.
Yeah, we're not bashing the family. We want to understand why you're not screaming louder than we are. Yeah. We want Nancy to be found just as much as anybody. Obviously not more than the family, but we're concerned about this, and so all we're doing is bringing our ideas from experience and saying what we'd be looking at from a criminal justice law enforcement point of view. Is these are the things that we would be asking. These are the things we'd be keying on, because they're very strange. It's very strange to have a family member say something like that without any firsthand knowledge or obvious evidence to indicate such, until these ransoms came out. Who knew what it was? So to have somebody say that within the first hour of us being on the scene, that's what we're talking about. We're not bashing family at all, as far as I can see.
And whoever said that, you're welcome. Request up, we'll bring you up and we'll talk about it. Full transparency here. We don't have all the answers, but what we do have is common sense. Put your common sense hat on, and you've got to look at all aspects of that. But if you're welcome to come up and we'll chat about it.
And DB, I agree. They don't owe us anything, and neither does the sheriff. The sheriff doesn't owe us anything. We're not asking for firsthand knowledge of any of this stuff. All we're talking about is, as law enforcement officers, how would we be handling this case, and how would we want to, again, I mean, I don't know if you obviously were sitting here when I said it. Of course, I've had family members that I wish would not say anything, because emotions, when you speak emotionally, it has a tendency to create problems more than it does help us. So, but at the same time, it's just odd that we're 84 days in and we don't see what we and again, everybody grieves differently. Everybody, works through the process of grief differently. I agree. They probably know that ultimately she's probably no longer with us. And so that may make it easier for them not to talk, because they understand that nothing that they say is going to change things. So,
hey, in full transparency, I just invited for the chat, DB up, and so we can air it out and chat about it. I don't think DB is going to come up, but we invited him.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not angry in the slightest.
no,
I'm
no,
just trying
not
to
at all.
explain what we're doing.
No. Um, it is how these are ran. So I don't know, DB, I'd love to hear your experience, love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your theories. But I don't have a lot of experience, but my short 30 years in the business, my spidey senses are up. And I'm going to tell you again, family, friends, workers, someone close in that circle is where it's where I'm going with this investigation. And I'm going to start eliminating the people from that pool.
Do you think they could have
So
put out audio if they really wanted to? Do you think they preserved, withheld audio or anything audio ready? I just wish we heard some audio from when the suspect approached the door. You know what I mean?
I'll let Steve chime in. We had a good friend of mine on. He's a amazing IT guy with a Fortune 500 company. Does a lot of technology stuff. We had Chris on. We were talking about stuff like that, and Chris seems to think, and he was explaining it way over our head. So he tried to break it down for the layman people like us that you know they weren't subscribed to the cloud. Some of those files were corrupted, which is why it took so long to get those back from the provider, right? They were corrupted files. But Steve, I don't know if you remember what Chris said. Chris says absolutely if they're able to recover the data from video, if the audio was enacted on that camera, they should be audio files. Now that's coming from the expert, not me.
Yeah, certainly. It's quite possible that they're withholding that. Um, Again, yeah, it's completely possible that there was audio with that. I mean, I mean, I have cameras at my house. The minute they go off, if I go live to them, I can hear people, moving. I can hear cars driving by, everything. So certainly there would possibly be audio to that. And it could very well be that they're withholding, like I've said, you don't want to release everything because you don't want to taint a jury pool. You don't want to taint the investigation. You don't want to taint when you're talking to suspects in an interview, because you might want something that only the suspect's going to know. And
And
so, yeah, they could very well be pulled
Steve,
back.
real quick, one thing I agree with DB, and you've covered this, I've covered it. Every cop that we've had on here has covered this. DB, you're exactly right. And I'm going to 100% agree with you. Law enforcement doesn't owe us one explanation, which is why we come on here and chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just an opportunity for everybody to to get their ideas out there. And as many people as we have on here watching, you never know where that next clue is going to come from. And so, or the next piece of somebody says something, and all of a sudden, it's something that gets passed along, and wow, it breaks the case wide open. So
Yep.
we're here just to again, to keep this story alive, because you can't tune into Fox News or CNN or ABC anymore and see this case. It has gone by the wayside. Every once in a while you might catch a little blurb, but it's nothing different than the John Lucas case. Keeping the name out there, keeping the information going, keeping the public interested in trying to locate Nancy is the most important thing to us. We're not here to hear ourselves talk. We're not here to bring on guests like Daniel just to get clicks and just to get people to watch the show. This is somebody that's been boots on the ground, that has information that we haven't heard before. And so it's something that, it gives the community, some ideas, some hope. And so, yeah, I mean, it's, we're not doing anything here to benefit ourselves. We're really not. I mean, yes, it's great that you guys watch. It's great that you guys click and tap. But I can assure you that we would still personally be focused on this case, because this is one of those things that, this is a high profile case. And these are the things that Jamie and I, have experienced in our careers. And those are the kind of, these are the kind of cases that, you look at and you want to keep being involved in, because it's important to people.
Yeah, and like I said, DB, no one's going to be rude, nasty, mean. But I'm going to ask you again if you want to come up and let's hear what you have to say. I think and here's the deal, guys. If you have somebody like DB that may disagree with you, that's the luxury of doing this platform the way we do it, because Steve and I don't agree on everything. You've heard Steve and I and Rich, and we've all gotten spicy, right? We don't agree on everything we say, but I tell you what we won't do. Just because you have a disagreement, you're not going to be blocked, you're not going to be booted or any of that nonsense, because that's not how we work. So, I mean, DB, you're welcome to come up. No one's going to yell at you, and I would love to hear your thoughts and your theories. So, Daniel, I don't know. That's how we run things. I don't know how you guys run it, but it's full transparency here, baby.
Absolutely. That's the only way I know how to work. Just be honest.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's going to have an opinion. Some agree, some don't. It is what it is, especially with social media. You know, thick skin. You develop thick skin over time, and just let them speak their mind. I don't have any mods when I stream on YouTube. I don't have any mods. I just let people talk. Let people talk. Chattels.
And you know, you're not supposed to be proud of yourself, right? I'm proud, and I take pride. From day one, I've told the community, Daniel and Steve, you know this, if we get off center and if we lose our core values of not listening to the community, number one, you're going to wake up the next day, you won't have a community if you don't listen to them. But number two, it's just wrong to block somebody or mute them because they disagree. And I think that's what's maintained our viewers. Come in and tell us your opinion. We may get spicy with you a little bit, but never disrespectful. So I don't know, Daniel. I'm new at this thing. Steve fairly new at it, and we're just doing the best we can.
That's
Daniel,
awesome. Man.
What do you want people to know? Just anything. What can they do? Where can they find you? We want to support you. We want to see you. We want to watch you.
So
I'm going to run you for sheriff of Pima County.
With my record, that'd be amazing.
Hey, I don't care.
I'd have to have both of you guys help me out. So as far as the Nancy Guthrie case, primarily on YouTube, Righteous Monkey, or Facebook, Righteous Monkey, and that's where I do my searches. I'm still getting used to streaming as well, so that's primarily where I focus my Nancy Guthrie work, is Facebook and YouTube, Righteous Monkey. It's been awesome, man. It's been awesome reading the comments, meeting you guys. Yeah, it's just awesome, man. It's a pleasure, 100%. One random question about the suspect. What's your overall opinion on the suspect? He took the grass or whatever, put it on the camera. He had the quote unquote Mexican carry. I've heard so many things. Do you think he's prior military or law enforcement, or do you not have enough data to think about that at all?
Steve?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough there to really venture a guess at. He's a big boy. I mean, I know not quite tall, but the shoulders are broad. You know, I wouldn't put it beyond military or you know, even sort of like, what do you call it? Like soldier of fortune kind of stuff, you know, guys that hitmen and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not putting it beyond that kind of stuff, but I don't know that there's enough out there to really say. I mean, the short videos that we have, I don't know that there's anything that really indicates it. Unless they're holding on to something that we just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to disagree with that a little bit. DB, if you're watching, take note. I'm disagreeing with Steve. I love disagreeing with Steve. Steve's a smart guy. But here's Steve. Oh yeah, you are. That's why I love having you on here. That's why the people like you here. But I like shaking it up. But let me ask you a question, Steve. I got all that, and I may tend to agree with you. Steve, we've been in this business a long time. There's a lot of folk in here that have been hunting. We've got our West Virginia kinfolk on here watching tonight. We all watch TV. Steve, I have never seen a professional wear a holster in his crotch. That's my first clue. I don't know if you agree with that or not. That's just odd, and nowhere you just don't see that. unless you're some bandito from Mexico and you just don't know any better, right?
Yeah, I don't carry mine there for sure.
No. Here's the other thing too, Steve, and I know where you're going with that, and I agree with what you're saying. But Daniel, let me ask you a question.
Hmm?
You've seen this video. We've all seen the video. That grass stain just doesn't track with me. Okay, so you grab some foliage, and I call it the sage stain. He's like blessing the camera, right?
Mhm.
Anyone with a brain stem knows that you're not going to block anything. You're not going to be able to stick the foliage over the lens to block it. So what was that? Was that a show? Was that like, let's watch the bright shiny object as they take her out the back door? I'm just asking. And DB, if you're in here, chime in. I want to hear from you too. None of that makes any sense to me. But here's what makes sense to me, guys. It's my belief, and Steve, we talked about this at length. That backpack that he was wearing was empty. It was flat. It's my belief, and it's only Jamie's belief. You guys can throw your chat in there. He was there, in my opinion, to perhaps clean up the mess. And let's not forget that 40 or 41 minutes that's allegedly unaccounted for that was inside the house. We don't know what took place, right? But I've heard the flip side. Hey, maybe he was carrying bags for a heist, a burglary. I'm not buying the burglary thing. I think he was there for backup or cleanup.
Yeah, I know that we've talked about where he looks off to the left side of the door, where the window was. So yeah, I mean, that's partially what I believe, is that he was looking to the inside where somebody was already in there. Yeah, could very well be the false, flag at the door, and kind of playing the decoy. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm not carrying my gun there, because I've seen way too many people shoot themselves, and so that's not a place you want to shoot. I'm sorry, you don't want to carry your pew there. So yeah, I mean, I'm not saying at all that this guy was the only guy or the main guy, to be honest with you. I mean, I can't disagree with you, Jamie. I mean, I'd like to, just because you like to disagree with me.
I love getting spicy with Steve on here and Rich. But let me run another thing by you, Daniel. Like we've heard, and look, I am full transparency. Something in my being, Steve, we've argued over this one. Something in my being leads me across the border. I don't know. It's a sixth sense. It's one of my theories, but I don't think it's cartel. And I'll tell you why. I've dealt with the cartel. You can ask one of my confidential informants who lost his entire left hand because he owed $75,000 to a cartel. He didn't pay it up. They came and cut his hand off. Cartel don't act like the creepy porch video guy. If it was a cartel, in my opinion, Daniel and Steve and community, you wouldn't have seen anything like this. They would have came in with a truck. They would have ripped that door off the door frame. They would have came in and taken this woman, and they would have been out of that house in under 3 minutes, done. So I don't think it's cartel. We've heard that a lot, Daniel, that maybe it's the cartel that got her. Cartel, they're quick, they're swift, and they don't play around. They go in, get their job done, and they leave. They're not going to spend 40 minutes in the house.
Yeah, I agree, and that's another thing why what I was going to say about it not being professional is because I believe that. I believe a professional military, you name it, they're gonna kick the door in and they're gonna go. These military guys, they know how to clear houses. They've had plenty of practice at it. So this guy was fumbling around. Maybe he's a patsy. I don't know. But yeah, I think the professionals take the door out and they don't care who's inside and who hears whatever, because it's instantaneous. The door goes in and the people are in. So
it's violent.
Yes.
It's
The only,
fast
I
and
mean,
violent.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just they act very quick, swiftly, and violent.
Yeah.
I mean, they go in and it's like you see the video of these guys taking out the ATM machines with a 4x4 or a tractor. They go in and get the machine and they're out in under 3 minutes and they're gone.
Yeah.
We
The
heard
only,
a lot about the cartel.
I can't see myself grabbing some grass off the ground, making a nest, putting a nest on the nest. I can't. I'm trying to think of a reason why he would do that. Maybe instead of breaking it, maybe he still wanted to be quiet. So maybe that's why he did that number there. But aside from that, I really don't see a reason why, he would do that. Take some spray paint or, there's various things he could do. But the nest
And
is
Daniel, I agree with you. And that's one of the things I would tell you as to why I don't believe it's two separate videos. Because if you're there on January 11th, you would have seen the camera and you would have avoided the camera the second time. Or you would have immediately, like you just said, come up with something to either a hammer to knock that thing off the wall or spray paint to go over top of it. That's why I don't believe it's two separate videos, because why would you go there once, know that a camera is there, and then go right back to that camera? So that's my thought on that.
Someone in the chat, check this out. Someone in the chat, and I'm paraphrasing it, went so fast, but someone in the chat suggesting, and I like this, what if, and we know the e-files, let's go back to the e-files that were released, and that we're still looking for the e-files. We're the files, we're the people. We know that Savannah was very critical of all the above. She was very vocal in that area. Somebody in the chat, here was their takeaway. What if this was all an act and a stage, and they have placed Nancy Guthrie in some type of witness protection, or they're hiding her for her safety? I can't say that I don't. As crazy as that sounds, and as conspiratory as that sounds, maybe that's why we've not seen searches or anything going on. I don't know.
I've thought about that too. Do you think that's a possibility? Do you think they would involve FBI and sheriffs and something like that to sweep everything under a rug since it's so quiet? Do you think, that would make sense? I've thought about that.
You're going to catch on how we do business here, Daniel. Let's parallel some cases while we're talking about that. Let's parallel the 24 or so, 20 or so scientists that have been unalived or missing. We're hearing rumors that jet propulsion, we're hearing hypersonic missiles, we're hearing UFO stuff. It's now being suggested, News Nation did a huge hit on this yesterday, that what if the government has all of these folks in a safe area in fear of something happening, whether it's kidnapping by a foreign actor state. So to answer your question, Steve, chime in, help me here, because I'm struggling. I'm trying to wrap my head around what Daniel's thinking. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. We've seen it happen in the past. And it sounds crazy.
Yeah, and I can only, as long as we've carried this on, I can only believe that if that were the case, there's going to be a lot of distrust over government and local officials if that's the case. And I don't know that's the best way to handle this. Now, again, I've seen stranger stuff. So completely possible. Although I don't think likely. Definitely, that's a theory, and that's all we have right now. That's all any of us has. So one theory is just as good as the next until that next piece of evidence comes out, or that next news conference where we learn something, which that's also highly unlikely at this point that we get one of those. So
we'll see what happens with the hair as well. The little piece of hair they found. See what happens with the tests with that. But I think the longer time goes, the more that's a possibility of what you guys were just talking about, if that is true, if Nancy is somewhere safe, then my mind goes to, is the surveillance footage even real? I start going down that rabbit hole, but I try to keep it centered. I like thinking about every single possibility, but I just try to stay focused and grounded. instead of going down.
Daniel, that goes back to Jeffrey E. Did he or didn't he?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
you don't. None of this stuff makes sense. And I don't know who made that comment in there, but I'm telling you, whoever wrote the comment, could she be in hiding? I can't. I would vote for your theory if we were voting. That would be one of the things I would vote for because we just don't know. You've got to agree, and I don't want to go on the Jeffrey E. thing, but did he or didn't he? There's a lot of evidence says he didn't.
Mm.
I firmly believe he didn't. I think he's in witness protection. I know that sounds crazy, Strickland.
Well, and the only thing I would say is because of my experience, when they move you to witness protection, you lose contact. You can't contact anybody. So that means Savannah, Cameron, Annie, none of them can contact her. They can't go to where she's at. They can't call her on the phone. There's zero contact. And so I have a hard time believing that. Now, I'm not saying that there's not ways through that and around that because it's the government. And they have, I mean, obviously they can move people wherever and whenever they want. So they could easily move Savannah or family to see her wherever she is too. But that's an undertaking.
Here's my thought on that. I've got people that I've sent in that program. The guy with his hand cut off, he's somewhere in the U.S., don't know where. But Steve, here's where I'm going with that, and play with me for just a minute. Well, let's go down the hole. Little conspiracy going here, Daniel. We don't do a lot of conspiracy stuff, but let me flesh this out where I'm thinking. It's not a witness protection that you vanish for the rest of your life and you can never come back. But what if you're waiting on certain evidence to come forth to prosecute people, and once these people are indicted, they become no threat to Nancy Guthrie, then she'll come back. That sounds so crazy, but I got to tell you, man, my spidey senses is all over the map. None of this makes sense. You can't make heads or tails out of anything with the Nancy Guthrie case. And vote me out of the chat right now, but I'm thinking just like you guys. I'm all over the map trying to come up with ideas and a reasoning why we haven't seen. And this is, I'll leave it with this. Don't worry so much about what you're seeing. Look at what we're not seeing and what not has occurred. The searches, the call from Savannah, the police, the public display from Savannah, out on the street corners, holding signs, "Where's my mom?" And I'm looking at what we are not seeing versus what we see. I'll leave it at that. We got some conspiracy stuff tonight now.
Yeah, and I want to answer what DP was saying because they want to know why the report from January 31st and not February 1st. And I think we've answered that a couple times. The reason behind that is because she was last seen on the 31st. So when I do a missing persons report, my report will reflect last seen at this time. We got the phone call at this time. So the report will definitely read that she was last seen on January 31st, regardless of when she was taken. The missing persons report will reflect January 31st as being the last time she was seen. And between this time last seen and this time we got the phone call, that's where she went missing. So that's why you're seeing a report listed as January 31st, because that's when she was last seen.
I guess my last question, my last question for this scenario is, if she was placed somewhere safe, what would be the pros for making this a public thing, making this go public, worldwide, nationwide? Is there any pros to that?
Again, if that's the theory we're going with, and we're talking about things like Jamie was mentioning about the e-files, yeah, you might want that to go public simply because the people that you're trying to prevent from getting to her, you want them to think, okay, we don't have to do it because somebody else has done it for us, type of thing. So yeah, you might let it go public like this just in order to just cover your tracks, to keep that story on the missing instead of letting them know, not bringing it out at all. And then I think there's even at that point the people who may want to get to her, if that's the theory we're going with. If we don't have a story, that's even more suspect than what we've got.
Makes sense.
All right, Daniel, you're welcome anytime. We're going to get Monty in here, and we're going to cover a new case tonight.
Okay.
I've
Thank
looked
you.
for Monty. If you guys see Monty, if you're in here, I cannot find you. Daniel, you're welcome anytime. If you got anything new, drop me a message. We'll get you back on, and we want to hear from you. Thank you guys very much for allowing us to bring Daniel in. It was kind of a last minute thing, and so many people have asked about what's going on with Nancy. Why are you not talking about Nancy? So I wanted to get Daniel in here and talk about Nancy before we start this other case. And Daniel, this other case, it's a mystery too. It's a mystery too. Monty, thank you for waiting. I wanted to get Daniel in. It was a last minute thing. I've had so many messages, Monty, of people, where's Nancy? What's going on with Nancy? And Monty, this guy is out doing the Lord's work, buddy, in Pima County. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I was listening.
So, Daniel, we salute you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Nice to meet you,
anytime, my
James.
brother.
Nice to meet you, Steve. And
Yes, you too.
nice to meet you,
For
Monty.
what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you too, bud.
If I get any inside info or any new developments or any updates regarding this case pertaining to me, I'll keep you guys posted.
Thank you, my brother. We wanted to get you on while it was fresh. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have
We'll
a
be
good
in
night.
touch, bro. Yes, sir. I'll text you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Monty, I was going to have a mutiny. They were like demanding we hear from somebody with Nancy Guthrie. There's no new news. And I hooked up with Daniel yesterday. That guy's out there doing independent searches by himself for this woman. It's crazy.
Oh, was you talking to me?
Yeah. Are you one?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, so let's transition into this big case of the Rogers case. I did a little bit of reading on that thing. Monty, why has this not been solved? It's crazy.
I don't know. It's over 2 years old, and it has not been turned into a cold case. It's still
Give
open.
the folks, before we get diving in, because I've got questions for you, man. Give a little overview regarding your case. For you guys that are joining, Monty's here. Monty's been here day one. We kind of elected Monty to cover the Rogers case. He's in Tennessee. He knows the case. So we're going to start covering some cases this week that we haven't covered before. But Monty, take it away. I'm going to put you in the top box. It's your show.
All right, sir. Appreciate it. The case we're covering here is the Sebastian Rogers case, a 15-year-old out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Here's what I had came up with, what I had looked up and everything. And I'll start with this. Sebastian Rogers, he was a 15-year-old high-functioning autistic boy out of Hendersonville, Tennessee. He come up missing from his mom and stepdad's house on February 25th, 2024. He was last seen on the 25th at 10 p.m. His mom made the 911 call at 6:39 a.m. on the 26th that morning. Okay. It is not a cold case yet. FBI has a $50,000 reward out for this case. Over a dozen law enforcement agencies looked for him. They covered over 44,000 acres of acreage around his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Then I had wrote down a big old list of everybody that came in that covered the search and everything for Sebastian Rogers. It was covered by Sumner County Sheriff's Department, which Hendersonville is in Sumner County. TBI, FBI, Tennessee Highway Patrol, Hendersonville Police Department, Gallatin Police Department, Metro, Nashville Police Department, Wilson County Sheriff's Department, Williamson County Sheriff's Department, Lebanon Police Department, Tennessee National Guard, 25 members from the 252 Regiment Military Police, Nashville Fire Department, Hendersonville First Responder Search and Rescue Units, Special Teams, K-9 units, divers, and Mountain Patrol. Volunteer organizations, United Cajun Navy was involved in it. Texas Equal Search was involved in it. Over 300 volunteers, men and women, were involved in it. They have had over 314 tips come in. Previous sighting was November of 2025, claiming that they had a sighting of him at a rest area in North Carolina, but was confirmed not to be him. Special Agents home cameras showing activity with flashlight around 3 a.m. on February 26, 2024.
That's remarkable. Monty, I apologize. I didn't know anything about this case. I think I'd heard of it, but it just kind of was on the back burner. But after you brought this up, I started reading just the amount of manpower utilized to look for this little boy was just astronomical, and you just put out the numbers. Are they? You say it's not a cold case. Are they actively searching for leads? Do we have billboards? What are they doing in terms of trying to feather the ball?
They're still taking active tips, lead ups to whatever they get, and they do have numerous of different agencies that you can call in, do tips. The TBI, they have an 800 number. You can also get in touch with the TBI with tbi.gov. Sumner County Sheriff's Department, they have their phone number, and then or FBI.gov. You can get a hold of FBI.
And take us through, if you know, Monty. I was reading a little bit about this, but supposedly, I mean, this little boy left without shoes. It's my understanding.
No, he had shoes. He had shoes.
But when I started reading the case, originally the parents said he had no shoes on. Did I read that correctly?
My understanding when I read over it that he had shoes, but the last sighting of him was walking down the road at and it was cam footage from other houses that he was walking down the road at 3 a.m. with a flashlight.
A yellow flashlight.
Yes.
And then supposedly, I mean, Miss Diane says she heard no shoes. So I mean, that's where I want to dig into this thing a little bit. On your research and what you independently know, I mean, where does this is any suspects? Do they have a person of interest? What's the court of public opinion suggest that may have happened to this little boy?
Well, they on the things that was coming across that they're around the time that they saw him on the street with a flashlight, they also seen a car in the vicinity of the area. So that I don't know if he ended up with them or what, but that sounds suspicious right there.
And then it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, you say autistic. I mean, was he? Do we have any idea where he was at on the spectrum if he's autistic?
High functioning autistic. I have a son that's high functioning autistic, and they're very, very, very smart, very smart. They act like just normal human beings, but their parallel and their stuff is a little higher than a normal human being is. So that's what I mean by high functioning autistic.
And it's a big misconception. And I've got to tell you, we are going through and have went through something in our family with this exact topic. And I got to tell you, Monty, my heart goes out to you because let me tell you, these kids are smart as a whip. They're genius level IQs, most of them. And there's so much misconception when you start talking about these spectrums and autism. A lot of people think, okay, they're just, they can't think for themselves. Monty, these are smart kids, smart people. But let me go back to where that hour, is it possible that he went out because of he was fascinated of seeing something that he wanted to get a better look at by just walking out of the house at that hour, walking down the road? It just doesn't make sense why this little fellow would be out on that road at that time. I don't understand why he would be there unless.
Well, his mother said that he had contact with somebody by the internet or something like that. I don't know how true that is or whatever, but high functioning autistic people seem to lead more to electronics than anything because of their autistic backgrounds and everything. And if he had contact with somebody over the internet or whatever, they may have talked him into coming out and going with them or whatever. But there's no leads been led to his whereabouts. No one's saying if he got into a vehicle. He just all of a sudden come up missing. And like they said, they brought in dogs and stuff to search, and they could not find any leads with a dog.
And Monty, I don't know if you can see the chat. A lot of comments in there that they're suggesting that maybe he didn't leave the house. There's no video proof or any proof that he actually left the house. Have you read anything on your research that would suggest that? Is that possible?
The video proof that he left the house was the video door cams by other residents down through that block had shown that he was walking down the road with a flashlight. That's where it shows that he had left the house.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of comments on this case. Let's see here.
Yeah,
guys, if you have any comments or any questions, Monty, we're okay to bring some folks up and ask some questions, right? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll try to answer them the best I can.
You have that much manpower, and I know Tim Miller. I know Texas EquuSearch. Monty, they got their act together.
Oh yeah,
searching for folks, and it's just mind-boggling that you have to include the National Guard searching for this little boy, and they come up with zero clues. Very ominous, very suspicious.
44,000 acres of property in around his home and everything. That's a lot of acreage.
A lot of acreage.
That's a lot.
Hey, Krista, we're talking about the Sebastian Rogers case. You have a question or anything you want to cover on that for Monty? Because Monty knows the case.
I actually don't know anything about that.
All right, I'm gonna bring some folks up. We're doing that case right now, but I do want to get to you before we end tonight, if that's possible, on the John Lucas case, because that one's it's important too. We're trying to do them all, Krista.
I get it. Trust me.
We're gonna get them.
It's been a long day. I'm like super tired. I was like, I think I might go to sleep.
Well, hang in there because we're going to talk about John Lucas next.
All right, I'm going to hang in there.
If you have any questions, comments, anything you want to chat on this Sebastian Rogers case, Monty, we've got to start talking about this case more because it's not a cold case. I'm not understanding that. Does
Yeah,
law enforcement?
they've not declared it to be in a cold case. They say it's still open, and that they're still taking tips, and they're trying to answer as many tips as they take.
And then what about interviews? Anything stand out on any persons of interest? Has mom been cleared? Have they came out and made that official? Where are we at with?
Yeah, parents were cleared from the get-go.
Repeat that.
The parents were cleared from the get-go.
Because I had a couple people in the comments saying, "Well, the mother
He
was."
he was 15 years old.
I mean, I don't know if Steve's in here listening, but I guess what concerns me is whomever he potentially made contact with. That's a red flag. Someone in the chat even picked up on it? Was he lured out by someone he met on the internet? And that's who has taken this boy. Hey, Cheryl, do you have any comments or anything on the Sebastian Rogers case?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, I can.
Okay, I'm sorry. What you were talking about, his stages of autism, and I have a great grandson that has autism, and we did some testing. He was classified as a class 2. He is functioning, but slow learning, and it appears to me what you're describing is a stage 1 function. And this stage 1 function, yes, they're very intelligent. They're not very social, but they love their electronics. And I just wonder if someone lured him out, someone he met on the internet, and they lured him out with a promise of something like electronics that he was very interested in.
That was part in the search when it first started, that they seemed to think that he was lured out by somebody over the web.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like, especially if he left the house at 3 a.m. with a flashlight. Now, if he just left and was wandering around in the dark, then you would have more suspicion of him just getting disoriented or having they do have moments when they're just so uptight and they shake, and so it doesn't sound like that's what happened. It sounds more like a lure.
Yeah, that's what I seem to think whenever I started checking in on this case and started listening to this case. And like I said, this case happened back in February of 2024. So it's been over 2 years now, and there's really not been anything coming up about the case since. Let me see here. 2025, when somebody had called with a tip or something about a rest area in North Carolina, and it was confirmed to be not him.
How susceptible was he to name, address, phone number, that type of information? Was he? Did he know that information from memory?
That I do not know. That I did not find anything on that or whatever. But they said that he seemed to be real bright in school and everything, and that he was very fluent in his schoolwork and stuff. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that would be something to question. If he was fluent in his schoolwork, then you would assume, but you know what assuming does, that he would know his complete name, address, a phone number. But sometimes when they get agitated, their brain goes blank. They become combative and they can't think. So if he was put in that position, then who knows?
Yeah, I know the one thing that I did read, and somebody actually just mentioned in the chat, that even though he didn't take his phone with him because they knew that his father actually, that one of the statements he made on TV was Sebastian, just call me. I won't change my phone number so that you know how to get a hold of me. So I'm assuming, this is just, again, assuming on my part, that he may know phone numbers, by memory. So, but you're exactly right. I mean, those are the things we ask, if he goes to the store and he gives them a $5 bill for something that costs $4.25, does he know what kind of change he's going to get back? How good is he at his mental acuity? And some of these, the kids that are autistic, I mean, they're savants. They focus on certain things and they know certain things really well. But I'm assuming if his father said that, then he may know his phone number by memory.
That sounds wonderful. That sounds wonderful that his dad said that. So that gives me the thought that Sebastian does know dad's number, but he'll have to get his brain cleared to be able to recall that. So that's the one thing.
Now, someone in the chat, Monty, I don't know if you've researched this, but allegedly they could possibly have been a custody battle going on.
They did have split custody. His biological dad and his biological mother did have custody battle, but at the time he was at his biological mother's house and his stepdad's house when he come up missing.
Is the father on site? Do they know where his biological father is?
He lived in Hendersonville and around the Hendersonville area as well. So my understanding is his biological father worked for the police department.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and I see where we're going with that, Cheryl, because with these child custody disputes, that was my first thought. Is I know that they have talked to dad. I know they've been around dad, but maybe he's sent him off somewhere hiding because he didn't like the shared custody thing. And I mean, stranger that we've seen people located here in Florida that have been missing for 30 something years, and all of a sudden they found them. So yeah, it's not, I don't think that's outside of the scope of possibilities. I'm not accusing anybody of anything, but certainly your brain goes there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he could be hiding him within a 30, 45-minute area away from the police department and be taking care of him, or have someone familiar with him taking care of him, just to be able to be with his son if he did not feel that Sebastian was safe or being cared for properly with his mother. That's my
Those
just
are some
thought.
good points. Hold on a second, guys. Marion, do you have? We're talking about the Sebastian Rogers case.
Oh, right. Actually, yeah. My comments was on the Nancy on Nancy. It was something that I heard on. I don't know if you've listened to it, but it was a guy that was on. I can't remember his name now, but it was a couple of weeks ago, and it was he does like a show on YouTube, and this guy came on, and he said that like what they call the porch guy. He said that he was his brother. And this is going to sound really crazy because it did to me, but I don't know. Maybe it might kind of make sense a little because she's not been found and there's been no updates on her or anything. But he said that his brother, it's really horrible. I was quite sort of affected by it really, but he said that his brother was a Satanist. And all things to do with that side of things, and apparently apparently like now is when they I've forgotten the terminology, like when they do sacrifices, and apparently that they'd what's the word? I'm trying to think of a way to put it. sort of like that they, well, basically, he said like that they dismembered her, put
All
her
right.
into.
I'm gonna cut you off for a minute. I've never done this before. We can you be patient? Because
Yeah,
we're right
yeah,
in the middle of the Sebastian Rogers case. I
sure.
don't want to lose attraction. Your comments are vitally important. I've never cut anyone off before. Marion, please forgive me.
Okay.
I'll bring you back up when we're done with the Rogers case, though.
Okay,
Please.
sure. Okay.
I salute you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I've never done that before, guys. It was kind of hard to do, but I don't want to lose attraction on this case, Monty.
I'm
Jamie,
here.
I'm sorry. I don't have any other really thoughts except those. If you would like to bring someone else up, I would not be offended if you cut me down.
Let me ask you a
and
question, Cheryl. I do have a question for you, Monty. You may have one for it too. I mean, it's concerning Monty also that we're hearing potential child custody issues or a battle is one way it was explained. Possibly the biological dad works for the police department. I mean, you would get all eyes on just based on that, right? But here's my take on this, Monty and Cheryl. Let's say the worst case scenario was a custody issue, and the biological parent takes this child. So much time has elapsed. I mean, you would not be able to hide that child unless you move out of the country, et cetera. So I'm not really buying the biological abducting this child. Monty, I don't know if you agree with that or not. That just doesn't track with me.
It don't track with me either, because his dad. My understanding is his dad's still looking for him to this day. So if he had went in and taken him in any way, shape, or form, then he wouldn't be searching the way he is for him.
that's a good point.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, how are you going to look? These kids are active, right? They're active kids. Any 15-year-old's active. You can't contain a 15-year-old unless you chain them up and sit there with them 24/7. So I don't know. My common sense hat came on when I heard that, and I'm like, that just doesn't track in this case for me. I don't feel that at all.
Okay. I mean, it's a thought. We have to throw everything out there and either say, that's something, or nah, that's not possible.
But Cheryl, Monty brought up a good point, and I think you touched on it with this potential internet connection, this being lured out of the house, and the electronics connection. I mean, that tracks in my mind as to what would get this young man, this child, out of the house. If it was something appealing or enticing for him, right?
Right. And it's been known to be done several times. It's very, very scary.
Yeah, it is, especially with this child's. My gosh, it's just unbelievable. Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that with us.
Thank you for the invite. Thank
I started
you.
saluting this week, so I salute you. I'm going to salute all the way through Friday.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right, dear. Bye. Yeah, Monty, Steve, I don't know. I mean, you've got to look at all angles. You've got to look at all the people until you clear them out of that pool of suspects. But this luring out of the house is very appealing to me in terms of what probably happened to this young man. And then the electronics thing.
But like I said, I've not really heard anything on this case since in 2025 when they had that sighting at that rest area, and I haven't heard no more on it.
I mean, that's a lot of acres to carry. Hey, Arlene, I'm sorry I missed you in there. How are you?
Oh, that's okay. So the smoke's been coming out of my ears on this case because I've been following it since day one. He was living with his biological mom and stepfather. Bio dad is a guard in the prison system, and he was working graveyard that night, so he's not involved. The custody battle is regarding the stepfather and his ex-wife over custody of their daughter. And he wanted the daughter to live with him at their home, but he did not want Sebastian to be living in the same home at the same time. And the stepdad actually has family that works in the police department. So what happened was that morning so mom put him to bed at night. He didn't have access to the internet. He did play games, but he wasn't interacting with people on the internet. So she put him to bed, and she claims that at one point she heard a loud noise in his bedroom, but never went to check on him. So she goes to bed, gets up in the morning, then she checks on him and finds out he's missing. So all the doors and windows inside the house were locked, and all of his shoes were accounted for. And Sebastian, due to his autism, would never go outside without his shoes on. So she calls stepdad. Stepdad is a crane operator on a job. So he drives home. He calls the police department. The cops show up, take a report. There, like Monty said, there was extensive interest in searching and trying to find him. But
Wait a minute, Arlene. Hold on. Time out. Stop.
it's okay.
You're telling us that mom, you have a 15-year-old autistic little boy in the bedroom. Mom hears this noise but doesn't go investigate?
That's correct. She said
Monty,
she heard a loud noise in the bedroom, did not go and investigate, went to bed, got up in the morning, and that's when she discovered he was missing. But his windows were closed. Everything was all closed up. And just fast forward a little bit, the biological mom and the stepdad did nothing to try and search for him. They didn't even pass out flyers. There was so much pressure on them to try and get answers from that they ended up leaving and going to a campsite where stepdad's fifth wheel was parked, and that's where he stayed when he was working. They did a couple interviews. They did, but you could tell in the interviews that the stepdad had control over everything, including what she was saying. He was basically answering all the questions. So and I will tell you that further on, they discovered that stepdad did not like Sebastian, and that at one point he even had a mattress that was in the garage and made him sleep in the garage on the mattress, which wasn't attached to the house. That's correct.
I didn't find that part when I was looking.
Yeah, if you could go, interesting, if you go back and you listen to the interviews, I believe they even did one with Nancy Grace, if I'm not mistaken. I think somebody in the chat just said something about it. So there's so many elements to this case that wasn't, the theories that you were going down would sound typical, but you throw in the element of the stepdad. He's the one, I don't know how any mom, and I'm a mom, I don't know how any mom cannot go search for their child. And that's what the biological mom didn't do. She did not go search. She did not hand out a flyer. And CPS had even been called and had been called at the house before also.
Arlene, did you say his stepfather was the one that called the police?
Yes.
Because on what I had read, his mother had called the police, and she called the police at 6:39 a.m. that morning on the 26th.
It is possible that there could have been 2 phone calls, but I know that the stepdad, called the police because he had the direct phone number to dispatch because he has family that works in the police department.
Which police department did he call though? Because it said that his mom had called Hendersonville Police Department.
Yeah,
as
that's who he
police
called.
department.
He didn't call 911 from his phone because he wasn't in the state. He was at his job site driving home. So he wouldn't have gotten the police department that she called. He knew the actual phone number to dispatch and he called them directly.
Called
Let's
911.
let's listen to Mom for a minute, guys. If I can play it, hold on.
The last time I saw my son was when he went to bed.
Tonight marks 1 year since Sebastian Rogers disappeared from his home near Beach High School in Sumner County. He's 16 now, but there are still no confirmed sightings or leads in the case.
Fox 17 News' Kelly Avelino sat down with Rogers' mother, Katie Proudfoot, in the search for her son and the ongoing public scrutiny surrounding this investigation.
3, 2.
A voice and an exuberant smile that have been missing for a year that Sebastian Rogers has gone without his favorite things.
Cats are the number one. He loves animals, almost all animals.
Animals, video games, books, and any chance in the pool.
He loves water. He swims like a fish.
Sebastian also missed his birthday.
December 7th. He turned 16, and he should be home for that.
But Sebastian, who has autism, hasn't been home since February of last year. After dinner at the Texas Roadhouse on the 25th, Katie says she and her son went home.
Did anything happen the night he went missing that was like cause him to run away? Was he punished in any way? An argument? Just a normal night?
It was a normal night. It was a calm night.
That turned tumultuous by the next morning.
It was when I went in his room and
It was a calm night. Nothing about a loud noise.
he wasn't there. He wasn't in his bed.
Katie says she frantically searched the house and drove around the neighborhood at 6:30 a.m. until she and Sebastian's stepfather, who says he was away for work at the time, called police.
We need you to search your properties every day.
But an Amber Alert and an extensive week-long...
I don't know, man. Steve, I'm going to go to you for just a minute. I don't have a warm and fuzzy feeling with what I just listened to and the body language. Maybe we need to get our body language expert on to take a look at that video. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in charge of this case at this point, I may bring some fresh blood into it, but I would start with re-interviewing the mom and the stepdad separately. I might walk in with my file folders. There may be nothing in them, but I might walk in with some file folders that are stacked full, and I'd start out with, I've got some stuff here that's very disturbing to me, and I'd like to start over with you, and let's go from the beginning. See if we can't pressure somebody in, because to me, I mean, you start at home. And I know from experience how frustrated and flustered parents can get with a special needs child. And I know 99% of them would never hurt or harm their children, but there are those folks out there that get tired of dealing with it, and they like to pass it off onto other people or handle issues themselves in a tragic way. So I would definitely be reopening interviews with those two for sure.
Well, I'm going to be walking in the house, or she's going to be walking in my office, and she's going to have a seat, and the polygraph guy is going to start asking her a bunch of questions on the box. That's me.
Yeah.
I mean, Monty, I don't know, man. That's disturbing.
It's an awkward case to me. It is, because everything that I read up on is what I read you and everything. And like I said, there's not been anything hit since 2025, and that was at that where they thought that they seen him at a rest area in North Carolina.
Yeah, somebody just put in the comments that they're hearing that they passed the polygraph. I don't know. I mean, Arlene, chime in. You're in tune on these cases, just like Monty in the community. What sticks out? Does your spidey senses go up when you hear that interview?
Well, if you watch all of them, she looks like she's scared to death. And I think she's scared to death of her husband. And he's the one that's basically controlling the whole conversation. And about the polygraph test, the only one that may have been polygraph, but they didn't even need to do that, would be the bio dad. I mean, he already had he was working a graveyard shift at the prison. He took off as long as he could. He got physically sick over trying to find his son. He constantly asked the mom and the stepdad to please be involved and help search, and they were non-cooperative the whole entire time. So
yeah, someone in the comments just put that they had a canine that was doing a track and actually tracked a scent to a pond with potential footprints at the edge of the water. So
well, they searched that pond. They did because they did bring divers in, and that pond was searched, and it came out that they did not find anything.
actually, they drained it, I believe. There was one that was not too far from the house that there was footsteps, and so it was, from my knowledge, it wasn't it was big enough that they could just drain it, and it took a long time before they even drained the pond. And they went through everybody's doorbell cams that in the area to see. There was the one that Monty mentioned, that there was some flashlight activity behind the house, but there's never been a resolution as to what that was. If you go into stepdad's history, he has a terrible history with his marriages and domestic violence in those marriages. And if you go really in depth into it, it looks so suspicious of the stepdad, especially he was the one that was abusing Sebastian. And he was the one that was making him sleep in the garage. And by the way, that garage was not attached to the house either. It just sent him out to the garage. And mom did work for a security company with cameras, installing cameras, and her work van was there. But oddly enough, they didn't have any security cameras at their home.
Now, in the chat, Felicia says that the bio dad, in fact, took the polygraph and passed. But Felicia says that Chris refused the polygraph, and mom's polygraph was inconclusive.
Yeah, that sounds more like it. I know he was totally uncooperative for everything. It was it's really, really super sad, because the theory was at one point, well, maybe there was actually enough time for when dad went to work and was working out there that he actually had enough time to go home. Something could have happened and go back to his job site. And he was working at a addition to a hospital, and they were speculating, but nothing ever came of it, that maybe he disposed of his body underneath freshly poured concrete. But that's just just a speculation. But that's how I mean.
Felicia, welcome up. Thank you for that comment.
Hi. Yeah, I've also followed the case from day one, and the Katie Proudfoot, she was on the phone with Chris, which is the stepdad, when she sent Sebastian to bed at 9:00, and she said that she was on the phone with the stepdad for about 3 hours, and she was studying on the couch, and she kind of, I guess, from what she said, she was like dozing off and on until about 12. But in between the 9:00 and 12:00, she said about 10:30, if I can remember correctly, she heard a thud, her exact words in the room. And she yelled at him, Sebastian, I don't care what you're doing, but it's time for bed. She didn't get up and go in there and check on him or anything. He said, okay, Mama, I'm going to bed. And that's what she said. But then she said when she went in there in the morning, he wasn't there. Now, if she was on the phone with Chris for 3 hours, that could have been an open-ended call where he left his phone at the camper in Memphis and went home, did what he needed to do, get rid of what he needed to get rid of, and then head back to his phone before, he called the sheriff, because 911 was not called. He called the sheriff on a 3-way call with Katie.
Steve, I'm all over the map on this one, and I know where my fingers are pointing. And I know as investigators, you don't get tunnel vision, but you certainly go where the suspicion directs you to go. I'm not feeling a warm and fuzzy on this one.
And then it just so happens that his mother takes a trip to Alaska either the day after Sebastian went missing or the second day after Sebastian went missing, and they did not fly. They took a RV from wherever they live at in Tennessee, Hendersonville or wherever it is that they live. And they took an RV up to Washington and then took a ferry to Alaska.
Are they related to the Hooker case and the husband? Because he took a trip back to the U.S. from the Bahamas. Why are they not looking for this little boy?
Right. But my thoughts are, because the grandma was seen that next day by someone. They got her on camera, the video of her car, not far from that house. And Katie left at 6-something to go look for him, supposedly. How do they know that he wasn't in that car or something, and she didn't drop him off to the stepmother, and then the mother-in-law, grandma, and she didn't take him in the RV to Washington and then put him in a ferry on their way to Alaska? I mean, there's so many different things and so many different scenarios that have went on with this case. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I say I put her in a room, and I think, because it sounds like everybody's leaning towards stepdad here, which that's where my thoughts go. I put her in a room and pressure her. Moms are more likely to break than the stepdad is, and I think if you put enough pressure on her, you might can get a confession if indeed they're involved. That's where I'd start. I'd start with her, and I would, I wouldn't leave that room until I had her in tears over what really happened. I mean, it's beyond me that how it sounds like they have handled this, how the mom and the stepdad have handled this.
It seems like Chris will not allow her to do any interviews at all without him there. When they did Nancy Grace offered Chris to do a polygraph, and he said he would. But when it came down time for him to do it, he wouldn't do it. The mom did it, and then Seth did it, the bio dad, but Chris wouldn't do it. And she even called him out on it on one of the videos that she posted on TikTok. Yeah, it's a sad situation. And Seth is the only one that's looking. The mom and the stepdad aren't looking. They haven't looked one day. They haven't been boots on the ground looking for her son.
Monty, correct me if I'm wrong. What was the FBI, or have they been, are they involved in this case?
The FBI and TBI both are involved in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a long list of different organizations that was involved in this case. Everything from the Sumner County Sheriff's Department, that's where it started because it was in Sumner County. And then it led up to the TBI and the FBI and Tennessee Highway Patrol, Hendersonville Police Department, Gallatin Police Department, Metro Nashville Police Department, Wilson County Sheriff, Williamson County Sheriff, Lebanon Police, Tennessee National Guard, 25 members from the 252 Regiment Military Police, Nashville Fire Department, Hendersonville responders, search and rescue units, K9 units, divers, and mountain patrol. And that's not counting Texas Echo Search and United Cajun Navy.
Maybe, yeah.
And 300 volunteers on the ground.
I mean,
and like I said, they covered 44,000 acres in around their property and stuff. So,
you know, my first thought on this thing, Monty, okay, you've got a local cop shop that may not have the up-to-date training or the smartest detectives, but, you know, I can personally speak. I mean, the FBI, there's a top shop there. The TBI, I've heard nothing ever but just amazing work that the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations do. Steve, this is crazy. That many agencies. What do they miss, Steve? What's missing here?
I don't know. Again, I mean, if they are as unwilling to participate as it sounds like they have been, I mean, that's a clue. And I get it. Like we've said on several occasions, you know, you can't catch a fish if it doesn't open its mouth. And it sounds to me like that's what stepdad is doing. He's refusing to answer anything. He's refusing to take a polygraph. You know, that's where I start. And that's where I, you know, like I said, you know, certainly you have those sociopaths out there. I mean, we both are familiar with Casey Anthony. You know, she's kept the real truth since the day it happened. And so, I don't know, you know, with all those groups involved, I doubt they're missing much except for a confession. And I don't know, maybe you just bring fresh blood into this. You start going back through the evidence and, you know, or bring in some really good private investigators and start working from there and seeing what you can do. And of course, you know, living in rural Tennessee, biological dad's probably not very well off to where he can afford PIs, but you know, there's got to be something that someone can do, because I would wear mom out in a room. I really would. I mean, it would be several hours if I didn't get anything, because it just sounds like that's where the pressure needs to be applied. And I've seen people say in the chat, there's no way that Chris allows that. And I'm sure he's told her to keep her mouth shut if that's the case, if they are involved. But I really think there's ways to pressure that she's going to break if they were involved. And you got to try. I mean, it's almost 2 years. I mean, December will be 2 years. You know, would have been 17, or maybe 17 now, and it's almost 3 years, I guess. So I'd pressure the heck out of mom.
The case happened in February 25th of 2024, so it's been over 2 years that he's been missing.
And I just I saw the chat that the Cajun Navy, United Cajun Navy, withdrew because of threats. I just text Brian Thrasher from the United Cajun Navy. I'm going to see if it's a late text, spontaneous. See if Brian can chime in on what threats the Cajun Navy may have gotten. I mean, if, you know, who's threatening? Who are the people making the threats? This sounds, Steve, it would be solvable, but the key is getting to mom.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's where I'd be living. She'd be in my office every day, and we'd be working this thing through. Because if they were involved, she's the easiest one to crack. And I've seen these cases where step parents are involved. They think that they didn't sign on for this. I didn't sign on to have an autistic child, and they're typically the ones that you look at because they're the ones most likely to try to eliminate that issue for themselves.
Plus, Arlene was saying he was trying to get custody of his daughter, and he didn't want Sebastian to be around if he got custody of his daughter. So that right there would be suspicion too.
I've said this before. One of my best mentors, Martin Ejing, I was in his office for years, working out of his office when I was in the defense side of this thing. And, he had a famous saying, Steve, you cannot catch a fish if the fish doesn't open its mouth. But I got to tell you, man, between TBI, the FBI, the investigators that work on this thing, I mean, Steve, they go to the same training classes that every other cop goes to. And they've got to be some good, talented agents up there working this thing. But the fact remains, if you're not talking, you're not getting anything. And got a lot of circumstantial evidence in my mind that I know where my head's pointed. But you're going to have to get someone like the wife to break. And I know how I would do that. I would be plastering pictures in the interview room in my office or wherever it was of Sebastian Rogers. I'd have him, my office would be plastered with his pictures. And you're going to break her down and appeal to her and get to her humanistic side. You've got to use every tactic in the book on a case like this. And you've got to appeal to the little boy.
Yep, exactly right. I mean, that I've done that very thing on other cases where I bring in pictures of victims or what have you, and go, look, this is what you're doing. This is how you're destroying this case, and this person right here deserves to have some justice. Deserves to have some, whether we locate a child or whether we recover a child. This is the person who deserves your help right here. You need to, this is your, whether they're married or not, I'm not sure. Step doesn't necessarily mean they're married, but if they're married, you owe your biological child more respect and more dignity than you're giving to this guy who's telling you to keep your mouth shut. And maybe you cut a deal. I don't know. Maybe you cut a deal. I don't after 3 years. I don't think I cut a deal. Maybe it's a lesser included charge, but yeah, I'd wear her out.
Well, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, whoever did this needs to spend a little time in the electric chair, in my opinion. I know that's way out there, but I mean, I wouldn't stop on this case. And you're right. I mean, Monty, there no private investigators that we've heard that are on the case. The family just can't afford.
Not that I've heard. There's not been any private investigators. Like I said, the last thing that I've ever heard on this case was in November 2025, when they thought that they had a sighting of him at a rest area in North Carolina. And then somebody went to investigate it and come to find out that it wasn't him.
Yeah, other people in the chat are chiming in that even the searchers were receiving threats. So, here's what I would do. and maybe they thought of this, I don't know. But Steve, if you have volunteers out searching and you're receiving threats, we don't know what the threats were, but I'm just a hypothesis here. You may not be able to charge someone with unaliving this little boy or kidnapping, but I would be working the angle of threats, tracing those threats back through an IP address, etc. And I would be trying to charge someone with some type of cyber stalking or cyber crime just to get the person in the system. You see what I'm putting down, Steve? We may not always get that first charge that we want, but you go get another charge and then work up from there.
Yeah. And even at this point, if you can't approve or you can't prove that there's, they may come out and say, okay, well, he died of some other cause and we were scared and we did this, tampering with a corpse or something like that may be all you can get out of it. But I'm pushing, literally when I'm sitting her down and letting her see all the pictures of her son, I'm pushing all the charges that I can possibly go and go, look, you can be a great witness or you can sit right alongside and get the full-blown charge, but it's up to you at this point. You either need to come off of this, or when I find out, if you don't tell me what happened, I'm pedal to the metal and we're going to get everything we can out of this.
We've got an excellent group, Monty, Arlene, Felicia, Steve, the group in Telegram. Here's what I want our Telegram chat to do. Find me a way to contact Mom through social media. Put it in the chat, because I'm going to start working to see if I can contact the mom and talk to her and hopefully get her to come on and share Sebastian's story with us. Right? So, guys, go to work in the chat on Telegram, see if we can dig up some social media accounts. I would love to have the mom on to talk about Sebastian. Wink, wink, nod, nod.
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great idea.
Sebastian.
I'm not in the Telegram, so.
Monty, you're not in Telegram?
No, I can't get in. I don't know how.
We're going to fix that as soon as we get off of here.
Okay.
But no, Monty, we need to reach out to the mom, and people need to hear about Sebastian. And who better to tell the story than Mom? Let's see if we can get her on a live and let her talk about her son and share some pictures, share some stories, share some memories. And I think that's good night. We would love to hear from Mom and hear about Sebastian.
I have a question, Jamie, and you or Steve may be able to answer this. If the stepfather is not allowing Mom to speak, can't there be a warrant drawn up that she would have to speak without him?
Good point. I'll let Steve follow up on this. I had multiple cases in my career where I wanted to speak to someone and they refused to. They just wouldn't talk to me. You have to go through some hoops, but it's called a subpoena instanter. And what that means is you get a court order, and wherever that person is, you literally can take them into custody and take them for an interview. Now, they don't have to talk, but Steve, I don't know if you ever used that or not, but I've yanked a bunch of people off the street with that tool. You have to show, it's just like any other document that would go through the judge for the judge to sign. You have to go through the hoops on the probable cause or why that you've exhausted A, B, and C. But yeah, it's an instant subpoena. It's used in depositions a lot, but I've used that as an investigative tool to bring someone in. But here we go. If they're not going to talk, you can't make anyone talk. But you can use that as a tool to get the person at least in the interview room or in that depot room.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned that husbands and wives cannot be compelled to testify against each other.
No.
They can be tried separately. They can be tried separately, and once that's introduced, once that information is introduced, it can be used in the other trial as well. So you don't have to, there's ways around that. Like I said, try them separately, and one starts now and one starts later, and yeah, you can get around that. There won't be
the old pillow talk thing is a myth.
Yeah. They most likely won't be on the stand, but once it's introduced in trial, it can be introduced in the other trial, and then they can use it. So,
Monty, you've opened up a can of worms. I'm 100% vested in this case.
Well, I'm sorry I opened that can of worms.
No, it needs to be. And here's the deal, guys. Real quick, we came up with this. The community
And
came
I'm
up with this
glad
idea
I had
to
two other
introduce.
ladies. I'm glad I had two other ladies that was able to pick up some stuff that I wasn't able to pick up, and that was rarely helpful for me.
Yeah, I mean that's why we do this. Not every one person knows everything about everything, and but as a collective community, we all can put things together, Monty. And Monty, I think we have the best community on any platform.
I spent 4 hours looking in over this last night, so I was trying to come up with everything I could.
But here's the other question: so did they actually 44,000 acres? That's a lot of acreage.
Yeah,
Did they successfully search all of that, Monty?
Yes, that's what was said. That was searched was 44,000 acres.
Steve, that possibly may be the biggest search in history.
Yeah, and I would definitely be interested in his work sites and stuff like that as well. I don't know if they ever searched that. I saw somebody said that they ran a canine through a construction site and didn't hit on anything, but I'd be interested in his work sites or anywhere along this trip that they allegedly took after he went missing. I mean, it's unfortunate. That's a lot of area to cover from Tennessee to Alaska or to Washington, but.
Hey, Rhonda, I got that. I'll make a note of that. Arlene, let me go back to you. Let's go back to you for a minute. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, we were talking in the chat, and Zeth Rogers is Sebastian's bio dad, and I know if you got a hold of him, he would love to come up here and talk about his son. If
All
that's
right,
another
let's see if we can
idea.
do that in Telegram, and let's see if we can get him on here.
Yeah, that would be a great idea as well. Because he was so proactive, and you could just see his pain all the time. And he was so sick when he ran out of time that he couldn't search for his son anymore. He just came to a point where he had to go back to work.
Felicia, I saw your note, so yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, Monty, what do you think about the idea of trying to get some of the parents that are the people involved? Let's see if we can bring them on here to talk about Sebastian.
I'm game for it, but is the stepdad going to allow the mom to come on here? That's the question.
We can ask. We can ask.
Because it seems like that he has the ruling and everything else that she does. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just, this is Steve. This is crazy. Are you listening to what's going on here, Steve?
Yeah,
These people, this community, buddy, they're vested in these cases. They do their research. They know them, and it's just mind blowing. Would you like to have this crew investigating some cases in real time?
yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
This community could solve some crimes. There's no question about that. Monty, where do we go from here? I don't want to leave this. I want to stay with this case.
let's get the chat working, Telegram, whatever. Try to get the parents in here. That's the only thing I can think of that we do. and see what they have to say. The father, the mother, and we know we definitely ain't gonna get the stepfather because he don't seem like he's interested in anything that's going on. So,
Guys, in the chat, you know we're big on this. Every case we talk about, can you drop some butterflies, hearts, something in here for this 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers? I got to tell you, I read up on it a little bit today, but after listening to what you guys brought to the table, another sad case. And Monty, you've
yes,
heard me
sir.
say this. Monsters walk amongst us every day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Arlene
And
and Felicia, thank you guys.
Always, Jamie. Always good to be on your panel and discuss cases. And I was glad I came up here and Felicia, because she filled in some of the things that I had actually forgotten about. So I really appreciate you, Felicia, for coming up here and doing that as well. Yes, thank you. But yeah, we'll start. I'm sure Zeth would be here in a heartbeat. So he's not going to be a problem to get up here, and I'd love to see that happen.
All right, dear. Thank you. We'll see you in Telegram. Thank you, Arlene.
Thanks. I'm gonna drop down.
Felicia.
Yeah,
Are you in our Telegram chat?
I am not. I don't know how to get in it.
All right. Somebody that's in Telegram, can you message Felicia and let's do whatever it takes to get Felicia into Telegram. And then Monty, after the broadcast, I'm going to make a brand new link and message it to you.
All right. That'll work.
Hang in there, Monty. Don't go anywhere. Miss Felicia, we'll get you in Telegram. And thank you for coming up. That was a lot of good information.
All right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So, Monty and Steve, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go into Telegram and I'm going to create a Sebastian Rogers file, and we're going to start compiling information on that in that file. And let's see what we can do with this case. It needs attention, Steve.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, I was glad that I was able to bring this case to you because it's been a case that's near to me, and I've always wanted to see an outcome on this case because that little boy did not deserve to come up missing the way he did, and then no one's speaking out or whatever. And they've come to basically halt in the road. And I'm not hurt. Like I said, y'all are welcome. I've not heard anything on this case since 2025, since that they thought had last sighting at that North Carolina rest area. And it come back that the leads come back that it wasn't him. So, like I said, I've not heard any more on it. And I just think it's something that needs to be brought to head again and needs to be re-looked at again. If it takes new people to put their eyes onto it and everything, then, but everybody was talking that people were getting threatened for searching or whatever. Who's doing the threat? Who's doing the threat? Was it
Monty? That's my point. If I was an investigator on this case and I'm hearing their threats, depending on what type of threats they are, I would be wanting to find the origin of those threats. And if I was there, what I would do, if I had enough, if I could meet the elements of any crime on those threatening messages or however they went down, someone's going to get in handcuffs and they're going to get interviewed. We can only surmise where those came from, right, Monty? But it opens the door, right?
Miles, hint. I think I know where they come from. It's just we can't prove it.
Right. But at least get that person in the system.
Oh yeah, well, most definitely. And you can talk to, I think it's Brian that you talked to, that's with United Cajun Navy. He's going to be able to answer that for you or whatever if that's the reason why they pulled out or whatever, because they were threatened or whatever. So it's a lot of stuff to look in on and everything to try to get this case brought back to light and everything, and see what we can do.
I mean, Steve, I'm excited. We've got a new mission.
Yeah. And I'll be interested to see if we can get one or the other to come up and talk for sure.
You guys, while we're on the subject, let's show Monty some love. Let's light it up in there. Monty, what's your favorite color?
Orange.
Let's see some orange hearts for Monty. Because I'm
I'm a
telling you, he left
university.
the A game.
I'm a University of Tennessee Vols fan, so orange.
Oh, Steve, we may have an issue. I don't care, Monty, who you root for. You're still my brother, and I love you, man, because you bring the best out of everybody. I mean, and we've got one night, Monty. We're going to do another marathon. I ask you one more time when we do that marathon to share your story, because let me tell you, people, Monty's got a story, and I think he'll share it again, and I want to do it on that marathon.
I'll definitely share it again. Like I said, I've not shared it to very many people, and I'll definitely share it again. I'll be more than happy to share it again.
I don't know if I can get down with the Vols, but maybe tonight, Steve, can we just be
Hey,
temporary Tennessee fans for one night?
No.
Hey, after what they done in the off season with football and what they're doing in this off season with basketball, I think we're going to see Tennessee up there in ranks.
You know, maybe we shouldn't discuss politics in football. Monty, as soon as I'm off, I'm gonna send you a message. I want to make a new link, so you've got to get in Telegram tonight, man. You're missing it. It's some crazy stuff in there. Good stuff. Anything else, Monty?
All right. No, I think we covered quite a bit on this case, and I would.
Waiting there. I wanted to get. I've had so many messages. People getting mad. Where's Nancy? Why aren't you talking about Nancy? That kid popped up today, and I just wanted to bring him on for 30 minutes. It lasted a little bit longer, but Monty, I no way.
I wasn't even be on time anyway. I was 15 minutes late, so.
That volunteer stuff, man. That's why you guys can't win a bowl game.
No, I was in the middle of cooking dinner. I had to cook dinner.
Oh Lord, Steve, what's your takeaway on Monty's case, the Sebastian Rogers case? Give us 2 takeaways.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. I think first, fresh eyes. I don't know if the same guys are working it or if they have a cold case team that's working it, but fresh eyes for sure. And they've already talked to one investigator. I don't bring that. I find another guy and I bring him in. I've done that. I've had conversations where the second interview, I'm like, hey, can you do this one for me? Because I got nowhere and I've used all my tricks. Can you use your tricks? So definitely going to re-interview as many people as I can that will come in. And the second thing is, honestly, I had never heard of this case. So the importance of bringing it back, putting some fresh ears to it as well. I think that, we keep the banner flying and don't give up. If we can get people on here talking and looking out, and maybe they hear something, and like we said before, that breaks the case. So
yeah,
very sad.
Monty, excellent job, man.
Appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it.
I have to give Steve. We're gonna grade Monty, guys. 10 out of 10. Monty gets a 10 for me.
Yeah, I agree. Came in here ready to go and gave us the gist and gave us what he had and allowed the community to
assist.
Yeah, not only that, but pick up on another case that maybe they weren't aware of. And so now they go look at it and let their friends know about it and post about it. And again, it's just more, the more that it gets out, the better it is for the case.
Oh, well, yeah.
And you're getting all 10s in the chat, Monty.
Thank y'all. Y'all are amazing.
Monty, thank you. You're my brother from another mother. And I am always grateful for anything you bring and put down, man, because you're the real deal. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
I salute you. And I'm saluting the rest of this week. So, Monty.
I saluted back.
Steve, I'm not saying Steve. You know, Steve can't salute you because of who you root for in football.
Yeah, he's all right. His team's good. He talked about ranking. Tennessee certainly ranks. They're rank.
All right, Monty, thank you. I'm going to send you a message as soon as we're off and get you in there.
All right. Thank you, sir. God bless.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Much love to your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, these people amaze me.
Yeah. Yep.
And we just spent the last hour or whatever on this Sebastian. I think I remember something about the case, but had it not been for Monty to say, hey, I want to talk about the Sebastian Rogers, we would not know anything about this case. And then we had Arlene with Felicia, and the chat was just full. Everyone knew the case.
Yeah.
But I didn't know the case.
Yeah, and again, I'll say it's refreshing that you and I can just sit back and be informed. It's nice to not have to. We don't need to be the talking heads all the time, and so it was wonderful to me to just be able to sit back and just listen to what they had.
And guys, Alondra, our moderator, beautiful daughter, Steve, sent me a text, and I want to make sure I acknowledge what she put down in that text message. Sebastian's favorite color was green. And Steve, that's why we saw all of those green hearts. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge that, because that's important. What a night. I think we can just, you know what? I think we can shut it down and not say another word, and I think everybody can sleep and rest well, because we've covered a lot tonight, Steve.
Yeah. No, it was a good live.
All right, one last thing, guys. Obviously, thank you. We could not be here if it wasn't for you guys. You know the spiel. We're honored that you'll allow us into your community. But more importantly, I want to throw a challenge to the community. Steve, I don't know. I don't know if we can handle this or not, but I'm going to throw it out there. If you know a family member or anyone involved in any of these cases that would like an opportunity to come up and speak, Steve, we've got an open door policy for that. That's why we're here. Encourage them to come and say, hey, here's my case. I would like to tell the world about it. And we've got people all over the world here. So, Steve, I don't know. Maybe we need to start running 2 shifts and get some more people to host. But we need to open it up, because there are a lot of these cases that aren't getting the spotlight that need the spotlight.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
We'll close it with that.
And
Anything
Alondra
else, Steve?
I was just checking the chat. Alondra just put the updated link in your bio. So anybody that needs to get the Telegram link, go to Jamie's bio, and the link is there.
yeah, guys, if you're not in that Telegram chat, please go to that link and get in. Steve, there's some amazing work going on behind the scenes. So, all right, guys. Thank you, Simone. We appreciate that. Steve, thank you as always.
Sure, glad to be here.
Family, thank you. If you get a chance, please share the broadcast. If you haven't went to Steve's page and liked or followed Steve, please do now before we get off. Hit that follow button. Daniel, if you haven't followed Daniel, follow Daniel. Amazing guy. And then, of course, Steve, we got to get Rick back on. He's up in the mountains in North Carolina. I'm going to call him tomorrow, see if we can get him back on the broadcast, because Rick brings a lot to the table. People were asking about Rich. Rich is doing Rich things right now. He's okay, but he's just taking some time off, and Rich will be back in the next couple, 3 or 4 days. But other than that, guys, thank you very much. I cannot wait until the next live, and we're going to introduce a new case on the next one. So be here 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you. Good night.